Make your preparation a stepping stone to the higher rungs of the final selection list. Test and equip yourself before the final personality test. With the Vision IAS Personality Development Program for Civil Services Examination 2023. With takeaways such as DF analysis session with senior experts and faculty members, mock interview session with ex-bureaucrats, educationists, interaction with toppers and serving bureaucrats, performance evaluation and feedback. At Vision IAS, we aim to empower you with guidance for the questions ranging from your interests, current affairs, general knowledge, aptitude to critical thinking, which are instrumental in determining your path ahead. Admissions are open now. The UPSC CSE arena is an ever-evolving space where staying up to date becomes as crucial as maintaining a thorough preparation. With strategic planning and holistic coverage for exam syllabus, Vision IAS Delhi presents the GS Foundation Course 2025, 2026, and 2027. Avail analysis and integration of current affairs with the GS syllabus. All India test series with an innovative assessment system, inculcating post-test analysis, discussion, All India ranking, and more. Explore the holistic learning modules, intrinsically designed for the ideal aspirant. Batch starts 20th December, 5 p.m. offline come live online classes. Start strong with a solid foundation. Enroll today in the Vision IAS GS Foundation Course 2025, 2026, and 2027.
Good evening, everyone. I see some of the familiar faces. How many of you have attended Sir's session earlier? Okay, yesterday's session? All right. So we have uh, some people who have already known Sir for a while, and those who have first time come to the session. Let me introduce to you to our guest advisor. Good evening, everyone, from Team Vision IAS, and we welcome you all to an interactive session on how to approach questions on case studies in GS Paper 4 Ethics. Uh, our Sir Shri Krishna Mohan Sir, has 36 years of experience in Indian administrative services. He has demonstrated his expertise across diverse fields such as rural development, infrastructure, education, health, and also agriculture. He also was posted as district magistrate in Chandigarh during 1986. He is also a certified national trainer and facilitator in ethics. Additionally, he is also a recognized national trainer on e-governance, specializing in government process, re-engineering, e-governance procurements, and change management. Sir, I welcome you to the dais. Kindly guide our students regarding how to approach case studies in GS Paper 4 Ethics.
So I'm delighted to be here to address the young aspirants. And I always take some time to encourage all those people who are trying to become civil service officers, because I start off always saying that there is no service in this country which is as good as civil service. It will remain the best service for the next 100 years also. And once you occupy a civil service, whether it is IAS or any other service, you will be going through the process of public governance in every aspect. And the kind of challenges it will throw to you are unimaginable. I'm not at all trying to say that other professions do not offer you challenges. If you are an engineer or an architect or a doctor, a lawyer, there also you get many challenges. But the kind of things that you will get here, the uniqueness in the civil service is something which is so great that you can't even think what you have in the offing. So you get any cadre, any part of the country, you will be able to do a lot of good to the people of this country. So as you are aware, civil services comprise of number one, All India Services. All India Services are IAS, IPS and Indian Forest Service. There is a diplomatic service which is called as Indian Foreign Service, and there are central services no less important than the IAS. And this is generally, people try to say that there is nothing like IAS. I always say, if you get into Indian Revenue Service or Audit and Account Service or Railway Traffic Service, it is as good as Indian Administrative Service. And let me tell you, the present Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he gives a lot of importance to other services also. So many crucial positions which were earlier held only by one particular service, that hegemony has been broken. People from different services, they occupy that. So with that introduction, let me come to the topic of the day, and that is the case studies. Now, you know that the ethics paper comprises of two parts. One is the theory and the other is the case studies. Yesterday we had discussed theory part. I will, at the end of the session, I will again take some of the theoretical questions also. And then we will do one way that I'm also going to talk about some of the strategies which we discussed yesterday. But again, I will try to discuss them for those of you who were not present at that point of time. So let me first of all try to talk about the case studies as they happened in 2023 paper. So let me start off with this, and then I will show you many sample case studies. And yesterday, if you remember, some of you, I had told them that there are some very good books which are available. Of course, Vision IAS always has one of the very, very fundamental background papers and knowledge. But there are many good books and which are available. I had told you yesterday also. So let's talk about one case study as it happened in 2023. Case studies can be of two types. One, where there are a number of options which can be worked out. So there is an ethical dilemma. Ethical dilemma may be before a public servant. It can be before a person belonging to a private company. It can be an ordinary individual. So the different options which are available, he is in a situation of where he cannot make up his or her mind as to which direction one should go. So that is the first type of case studies where it has got a number of options. There are merits and demerits. And then you will have to decide which option is the best, and then that option you will recommend. Okay. The second type of case studies are where you as a civil servant would be asked, ki if you want to propagate the scheme of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, or Swachh Bharat, or Ujjwala Yojana, or for that matter, there is a pandemic in your area or floods in your area, how will you go about? So there are no options. It's only they want to know how you will go about, achieving your aim. So दो तरह की हो गई. The first one, where there is a dilemma, you come up with different options. And the second one can be regarding what steps will you take to achieve a certain objective or a public policy. It can be family planning, it can be, as I said, women empowerment or children empowerment or senior citizens. So both the type of case studies will come in this paper. This is that case study which came in 2023. I will read it out to you. You are working as an executive in a nationalized bank for several years. One day, one of your close colleagues tells you that her father is suffering from heart disease and needs surgery immediately to survive. She also tells you that she has no insurance and the operation will cost about 10 lakhs of rupees. So you are also aware of the fact that her husband is no more, he has died, and that she is from a lower middle class family. You are empathetic about her situation. Empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of another. There are 4 words which we normally use which are almost closely related: pity, sympathy, empathy, compassion. Okay, so you are empathetic about it, and then you do not have, however, resources to fund her. It's found her, nahi, it's actually fund her. So you do not have money, and then a few weeks pass and you ask her, ki bhai kaise kiya? How were you able to look after your father? And then she confides in you that yes, surgery has been carried out. It was a very successful surgery, and that she tells you that the bank manager where she was working, she was an executive in a bank. She was a colleague, of yours. Both of you were working in that bank. She tells that the bank manager was very kind, and what he did was that the bank manager facilitated the release of 10 lakh rupees from a dormant account. What is a dormant account? Inactive account, yes. So which is not operated by the person. So that is, there are not many transactions. So it's a dormant account, and she said that the bank manager was facilitated her to take out money from that dormant account. So how that money can be taken? Many ways can be done. You forge the signature and all those things, but she got the money. So ultimately the surgery was carried out. Okay, and now the operation has been over, and she was confident. It was confidential and it will be repaid. She has already started paying back. So she said that I have already started depositing money in that dormant account. Soon I will be able to fulfill that. Now here it's a question where the ends are good, but the means are bad. Okay, so that is what the 2 types of theories, all of you are aware: utilitarian principle and deontological principle. Utilitarian principle, where the ends justify the means. She is able to successfully operate her father, and therefore he becomes absolutely fine, but she has used a wrong means. But here some people will say it was okay. She has started repaying back also. So this case study has come to you, and now What are the ethical issues involved? Evaluate the behavior of the bank manager from an ethical point of view, and how would you react to the situation? You have to answer in 250 words, not more, not less. So let's see the analysis of this. First of all, the approach. So give a brief introduction highlighting the dilemmas represented in the case study. By the way, I'm going to talk about that strategy where I will tell you that there are 8 distinct steps which you have to go through whenever you solve a case study regarding ethical dilemmas. So the first one is the summary of the case, isn't it? Yesterday we were talking about, but I will narrate it again. Whenever there is a case study, you start with a summary of the case. Then who is the protagonist? Protagonist means whosoever is in that ethical dilemma. Then you come to the stakeholders. Then the ethical issues involved in that. Fifth is the options available. Sixth is the which option are you going to recommend. Seventh is the long-term recommendation if you would like to make. And so that is basically the 7 steps which you are likely to write the answers in that fashion. Okay, so here I have said that give a brief introduction highlighting the dilemmas. So what is the ethical dilemma? Highlight the ethical issues involved. Give arguments in favor and against, that is the pros and the cons, the merits and the demerits against the behavior of the bank manager from an ethical viewpoint. Explain what you would do in a situation and give a brief conclusion. So this is generally how you will approach that case study. The details I will tell you in a little while from now, so that you are very clear. If you take those 8 steps, 7, 8 steps, I can assure you, you will come out with very good marks. Okay. So the introduction, answer. Now let's see the answer to this. Answer is case study highlights various conflicts that arise during the professional work, such as empathy versus objectivity. So empathy for that lady, objectivity means what is right, professional integrity versus personal morality. So personal morality, she was lacking in that. Okay. Then pro rules versus pro life. On one hand, she has to save her father, and the rules do not permit. She has got no money in her bank account. She is taking out from the dormant account. And accountability versus discretion. So the accountability means responsibility which that manager has towards the organization, and versus discretion, she has a discretion. So she is able to take out the money. So these are the conflicting things which come. I told you that conflicting can be many things. For example, secrecy versus transparency. Rafale deal, now the government say it is a national security issue, so there is a secrecy, but transparency required that everyone should know what was the cost of Rafale and so on. Similarly, there can be a conflict between honesty, efficiency and honesty. So whether of efficiency is important or honesty is more important. So there will be many conflicting, and that is why there are ethical dilemmas. So that because ethical dilemmas come because it is not coded. Ethics is not coded. It depends on the situation, need of the hour. So that is the context it decided. Context decides it. For example, yesterday I told you that telling a lie is unethical in most of the cases, but in some cases telling a lie would become ethical. If supposing someone goes to a doctor and the doctor, after examining him, finds that he or she is suffering from cancer, then he will probably tell him a lie. He said, no, and he knows that 2-3 months ke andar he will die, but he will not tell that. So that is telling a lie in this case will become ethical. So therefore, there are always conflicts. The ethical issues involved breach of trust, unauthorized withdrawal from an account. It's a breach of trust. You have no power to enter into the account of another person. So therefore, ethical issue is this. Misuse of position, bank managers' power used inappropriately. Life versus rules. So a critical dilemma of following rules or saving the life. Ek taraf life save karna. Like for example, we come across an ethical dilemma. There there is a person whose wife is on deathbed. She is suffering from a very grave disease. Now that particular person has no money or medicine to buy to save the life of his wife. So he goes and steals that medicine, and thereby he saves the life of his wife. Now saving the life is a higher purpose, it's a very good thing, but stealing is unethical, unlawful. So therefore this kind of dilemma often comes, that on one hand you have one particular concern, the other concern is also there. And in your service, in civil service, there will be hundreds of such dilemmas which will come. For example, I was the Home Secretary. Supposing as Home Secretary, my Home Minister tells me that you tap the telephones of the opposition MLAs. Now tapping the telephone is legally permitted, but only in the case of criminals. You see, when something is under investigation. So you can tap the telephone. Under Indian Telegraph Act, there is a power, and the Home Secretary of the state has got power to give that approval. But he has to perform as per the rules of law. But the Home Minister says, कि Home Secretary साहब जरा वो देख लीजिए, हमारे opposition MLA हैं, they are trying to cross over to the other side. So let's hear the conversation they are having. Now that is illegal. So now the question is, a dilemma will come before you, कि whether to go in by the Home Minister's suggestion or whether follow the rule of law. So now the answer, if this question is asked in your interview, you will never say कि I will go by the Home Minister's advice. You will always say that I have to follow the rule of law. Because if you say the otherwise, the panel is going to pounce upon you. Because you cannot be unethical in your dealings. Similarly, police encounter, you will never say कि police encounter is a good thing. हाँ, criminal देखिए, the judicial system is so, takes time. So it's good that the police exterminates those people. You can't say that. You will never say that. So this kind of thing you remember, particularly for the interview. Now coming back to this, so violation of rights, invasion of the account holder's privacy and rights. That also is an ethical issue. The account is supposed to be totally sacred, confidential. How can you look into the account of someone? So these are the ethical issues involved. As I told you, you have to follow step by step. Short summary of the case. Who is the protagonist? Who are the stakeholders? What are the ethical issues involved? What are the options available? Which option would you recommend? And lastly, long-term recommendations. So we'll just now see that. Please understand every part of it. If you do it systematically. So now the question is, have a look at the question. Now let's see the question. What was the question? The question was, what are the ethical issues involved? Okay. Evaluate the behavior of the bank manager from an ethical point of view, and how would you react to the situation. So you have to confine your answers to only these three things. Okay. So first thing we have said about ethical issues involved. Now is evaluate the behavior of the bank manager. So what are the evaluate the bank manager's behavior? The answer is means end paradigm. Noble goal, but unethical means. So result is good, but it is unethical. So that is a paradigm. The bank manager's behavior, it talks about means versus ends. That noble goal, but unethical means. Intention, consequences gap. So the right intention, but improper action. That is the means are wrong. So what could have been there? Just hypothetically speaking. What would have been the right course of action? What would have been the right course of action? Tell me. The bank manager, if he was so empathetic, yes, provide her a loan from either a bank or her own account, but not resort to this particular thing. So therefore, that is why it's an ethical dilemma, and the behavior of the bank manager was not ethical. And third is fairness, compassion, discrepancy. Empathetic, but unfair and inequitable. Why unfair? Because you are unfair to that particular account holder. You have breached into the privacy of that account holder. And personal reaction to the situation. Policy advocacy. Suggest converting the amount to a loan and advocating for transparency. That would have been a better method. Policy development, recommend creating a policy for using dormant funds with clear guidelines. So supposing you want to do it, it should be done under a policy and with clear instructions, so that you allow the use of those funds, but under a policy. It has to be as per the rule of law. So that was, in conclusion, a balance between compassion and adherence to banking policy is suggested, with a focus on transparency and the establishment of a structured protocol for similar situation in the future. So that was the case study. Okay, let's see another case study. A landslide occurred. Are you able to read it from a distance? Is it fine? So a landslide has occurred in the middle of the night on 20th July 2023 in a remote mountain hamlet approximately 60 kilometers from Uttarkashi. The landslide was caused by torrential rains and has resulted in large-scale destruction of property and life. You, as the district magistrate of that area, have rushed to the spot with a team of doctors, NGOs, media and police, along with numerous support staff to oversee the rescue operations. A man came running to you with a request for urgent medical help for his pregnant wife who is in labor and is losing blood. You directed your medical team to examine his wife. They return and convey to you that this woman needs blood transfusion immediately. But on inquiry, you come to this conclusion that a few blood collection bags and blood group test kits are available in the ambulance, but few people of your team have already in fact volunteered to donate blood also. But being a physician who has resigned, who has graduated, it's not regulated, graduated from AIMS, you know that blood for transfusion needs to be procured only through a recognized blood bank. So you are the district magistrate, but you are also a doctor, and therefore you know that the blood transfusion can only be done from a recognized blood bank. So your team members are divided on the issue. तो कुछ लोग एक फेवर में हैं, कुछ लोग दूसरे फेवर में हैं. And so some favor transfusion while some other oppose it. The doctors in the team are ready to facilitate the delivery provided they are not penalized for that transfusion. तैयार हैं पर कहते हैं कल को हमारे खिलाफ जो है एक्शन न हो जाए इसके अंदर. Now you are in a dilemma. So your profession training emphasizes on prioritizing service to humanity and saving lives of individuals. So what are the ethical issues involved, and evaluate the options which are available to you. Answer in 250 words. So now again it's an ethical dilemma. Now let me just in the lighter vein mention to you, district magistrate, you will become, as I told you that there are three important functionaries in this country, and that is called as PM, CM and DM. So they wield the entire power. The Prime Minister, the Chief Minister and the District Magistrate. District Magistrate at the district level, Chief Minister at the state level and Prime Minister at the country's level. So as District Magistrate, you will be having, almost in the IAS, you will be serving as District Magistrate for at least 5-6 years. And that is where you can show a lot of ingenuity, lot of creativity. And you know, the District Magistrate is just like, it's multifunctional. It has got power under practically every act. Every act, there is the role of the collector or the district magistrate. You can do anything. And generally sometimes, we say that the district magistrate also has the same kind of power, multi-fashion type duty as a tehsildar. Tehsildar, a revenue officer who is in charge of the revenue administration. Collector is in charge of the revenue administration in the district. Tehsildar ke bare mein, what the Britishers said, that Tehsildar, and I say the same thing about district magistrate, Tehsildar is like a charpai. Charpai, that Britisher said. He said Tehsildar is like a charpai. अगर आपके घर में कोई टेबल नहीं है तो चारपाई पर रख के खाना खा सकते हैं. अगर आपको किसी सोना है तो चारपाई पर सो सकते हैं. अगर किसी ने मरीज है उसको लिटा के हॉस्पिटल ले जाना है, अगेन यू यूज ए चारपाई. इफ देयर इज ए सन, you want shelter from the sun, you put that charpai and you sit behind it. If someone has to take bath and she or he wants a shelter, Again it is charpai. So Tehsildar is like a charpai. He can do anything. You see, he is multifarious. So the same thing applies to the district magistrate also. As district magistrate, you will be able to do anything in the district. And that is why I say that your duties are very challenging. Now here you can see that district magistrate is now about to save the life of a lady who's bleeding profusely. So let's see the answer. Approach would be, give a brief overview of the case and the stakeholders involved. As I told you, the summary of the case, stakeholders involved. State the ethical issues which are there. Enlist the options available to the district magistrate. Evaluate each option and then conclude accordingly, recommend one of the options. This is the step by step you will do that. Okay, so case study overview. Complete bureaucratic challenges in a landslide disaster. So that is the overview, means it's a summary. Summary normally we write in 3-4 sentences. It is like a pressy writing. आपने pressy writing पढ़ी होगी. जो main passage है उसका 1/3 के करीब जो है हम लोग pressy writing करते हैं. So you can write in 1 sentence, you can write in 3 sentences, but that is the short summary of the case. And then the stakeholders. So stakeholder कौन है? The pregnant woman, the district magistrate, the medical team, the NGOs, the media, the police, the support staff, the blood donors, the blood banks, patients, families, members. Anyone who is affected either favorably or adversely is the stakeholder as a result of the action which you take. Okay? So ethical issues is dual role conflict. This district magistrate is also a doctor. Now he is in a dilemma. As a doctor, probably he will like to follow the Hippocratic oath and the rules on the business, which a doctor has to undergo. And as district magistrate, he has to save that lady in the larger interest. So the physician district magistrate faces a clash between medical standards and the need for quick disaster response. Whenever such a situation arises, the best way to solve a case study is put yourself in the shoes of that particular person. कि अगर मैं वहाँ होता district magistrate, तो मैं क्या सोच के क्या एक्शन लेता. If you do that, you will be able to think out of the box solution also, what exactly would be the different options available to me. So the best way to solve a case study is to put yourself in that position, that you assume that you are the protagonist. Once you assume that, then you will be able to think of various ways in which you can come about to solve that ethical dilemma. Okay, rules versus discretionary power. So the rules, the exercise of discretionary power must remain objective and legally compliant. So you have discretionary power, but you have to follow the rule of law. The rule of law provides that the medical rules, which says that you can only get blood supply from authorized blood banks. And medical ethics, balancing the well-being of the pregnant woman and her child against the risks of an unauthorized blood transfusion. So if it is an unauthorized blood transfusion, it may or may not work. So therefore, that is a dilemma before you. कि medical ethics जो हैं, they say that don't do it. But the overall picture says, yes, do it. Maybe you will be successful. If you don't do it, in any case, the lady is likely to die. So it is better to take a chance. It is just like an ethical dilemma, which I keep on telling, that there is an aircraft which is flying and there are 200 passengers in that aircraft. And that aircraft has been hijacked by terrorists. And they are taking that aircraft towards a multi-storied building where there are 50,000 people. Now that aircraft is going to strike that building, 50,000 people will be there. They will all die once the aircraft strikes that. Now you have an option. You are standing on the ground. You are having an anti-aircraft gun. You can point towards that aircraft and bring down that aircraft. Once you do that, then the aircraft will not hitting that multi-storied building or 50,000 people will be saved. But you will be killing those 200 people who have done no harm, who are having nothing wrong with, but you will be killing them. My question is whether you will bring down that plane or you will allow it to continue. So there are two approaches to this. One is deontological approach. Here will say, no, how can you bring down that plane? You are murdering 200 people. You can't do. The means are important. Whether those 50,000 people remain or not, it's not material. You will not bring down that plane. But the teleological or utilitarian principle man will say, no, bring down that plane. You will kill 200 people, but 50,000 people will be saved. So that is called as greatest good of the greatest number. So this principle is often applied. And how will you justify this action? Because those are 200 people, in any case they are going to die. Once that aircraft strikes that building, those so long to marna hi marna hai. So, but if you bring down that plane, you will be able to save 50,000 people. So this is how you analyze. You see, one more example I will give you, just and then come back. There was an AIDS patient. It's again an ethical dilemma, a doctor. That AIDS patient is getting transfusion. And that AIDS patient on the last day before the transfusion is going to be taking place next day. And he will be discharged from the hospital. He confides in the doctor, I am nursing many feelings against the society. मुझे society से बहुत नाराज़गी है क्योंकि मेरे को AIDS हुआ है. And therefore, when I go outside after the transfusion is over, I am going to infect everyone in the society so that everyone also dies according to by this AIDS. Now you are the doctor. And now you start thinking, what should you do? He will be set free and he has got nursing this grievance against the society. So you think about this and you think that there is a way out. If I inject some slow poison in that blood, which is going to be given transfusion tomorrow, then sooner or later he will die. And he will not be in a position to infect other people. So the greatest good of the greatest number. But having poison inside the blood, it is killing that person, it is murder. So whether you should do that or whether you allow that person to infect many people. So such kind of ethical dilemmas many times come before you. So think about the solution, what you will do in that case. Okay, so leadership issues. Team disagreement over blood transfusion, where leadership issue in, because you are the leader, you are the district magistrate, you have to take a decision, so leadership issues will come. You can't leave that thing to other people. And resource utilization dilemma. So allocation of limited medical supplies during disaster poses ethical challenges. You have to utilize the blood which is available to you in a limited way. Here, if you use that, it will be against the medical ethics. Should you do that or should you not do that? So the options for the district magistrate. Number one, which is, I would not recommend you to do that when you become civil servant. You as district magistrate, you will have all the powers. You don't have to consult anyone. I know many officers who start consulting their senior people. But let me tell you, if their power exists under a rule or a law, you should take the decision at that level. But there is a way. As I told you, options में आपको सारे option लिखने हैं. Those options which are not correct also, or which are generally not recommended, even those options are, you must write. The least practical option and the most practical option. So you will start with the least practical option, go to the most practical option. Just to give an example which I gave yesterday, that you are going to carry out an inspection of a medical college. That medical college is not having sufficient faculty or equipment, so it is not fulfilling the requirements laid down by the Medical Council of India. You get a complaint and you go there and carry out an inquiry, and then you come to the conclusion that the college is not doing the correct thing. But the lives of the students are involved. They are already studying there. So now what will you do? There are three options. The medical college person comes to you and he says, you allow it, I will pay you so many crores of rupees. Okay? Totally unethical, but it is an option. So when you will write the option, first option you will say, I will accept the money and do nothing else. That is an option. I'm not saying that it is the practical option, it is the least practical option, but you will write in that the least practical option. The second will be, I will totally reject the affiliation of that college so that the college stops working. The demerits will be that the students who are working there, their lives will be in totally, the future will be at stake. And third is, which is a more practical option, you will say, I will not allow that college to induct more children, more students next year. But these students, we will allow them to complete their course. So which is a more practical one. So this is how they would like to test you, whether you are coming out with a practical solution to that problem. Okay, so transfusion with unauthorized blood bank alternatives. So merits, innovative crisis management, consent minimizes legal risks, and blood alternatives reduce health risks. So the merits would be, you carry out the transfusion with unauthorized blood after informed consent that you tell that patient and the relations that this is, we are doing it, but we want your consent, as you normally get signatures from the relations. And it's an innovative crisis management, it is an innovation, crisis management, consent minimizes legal risks. So this is what you will recommend. Okay, these are the options. The first option, the second option, the third option. Demerits is time consuming, could delay critical care. So every case you will write option 1, 2, 3, 4. Merits of each option, merits, demerits, merits, demerits. Normally we write it in a tabular form. I will show that tabular form to you also. So the conclusion is, last option aligns with ethical principles of beneficence and non-maleficence. It is essential to promote open dialogue within the medical team and clear communication with the media and public to effective manage perceptions. So the last option was the recommended option. Okay. Let's see one more case study. So at 9 p.m. on Saturday evening, Rashika, a joint secretary, was still engrossed in her work in her office. Her husband, he is an executive in a multinational corporation and frequently out of town in connection with his work. Their two children are aged 5 and 8 and 3. They are looked after by their domestic helper. At 9:30, her superior, Mr. Suresh, calls. 9:30 p.m. The boss calls and he asks her to prepare a detailed note on an important matter to be discussed in a meeting in the ministry. She realizes that she will have to work on Sunday to finish the additional task given by her superior. Sunday के दिन काम करना पड़ेगा, husband है नहीं, गए हुए हैं. And then she reflects on how she had looked forward to this posting and had worked long hours for months to achieve it. She had kept the welfare of people uppermost in discharging her duties. So the work was considered to be the most important part. She feels that she has not done enough justice to her family. So work-life balance has suffered. And therefore, and she has not fulfilled her duties in discharging essential social obligations also. Even as recently as last month, she had to leave her sick child in the nanny's care as she had to work in the office. How she feels that she must draw a line beyond which her personal life should take precedence over her professional responsibility. So she thinks that there should be reasonable limit to the work ethics, such as punctuality, hard work, and dedication. So question is, discuss the ethical issues involved. This is generally the kind of question which will come. Who are the stakeholders involved? Discuss the ethical issues involved. What are the options available? Which option would you recommend? Briefly describe at least 4 laws. Now they have added one more question here. Now normally in case study we don't have such thing, but the examiner has added this also. Just to give another dimension to it, let's see the test the knowledge. This basically is not so much connected with the case study, but it is connected with the public policies. So but she says 4 laws that have been enacted by the government with respect to providing a healthy, safe and equitable working environment for women. Imagine you are in a similar situation. What suggestion would you make to mitigate such working condition? You have to answer in 250 words. By the way, let me say it at this level itself. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask me at any point of time. Sure.
Just 1 minute.
अगर किसी कॉलेज में अनएथिकल प्रैक्टिस हो रहा है, अगर वहाँ कोई डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट जाता है, तो वो उसके पास एक और ऑप्शन नहीं हो सकता है कि वो जो उसमें स्टूडेंट लर्न कर रहे हैं उसको किसी अनदर कॉलेज में ट्रांसफ़र कर दिया जाए और उसको डिसअलाउ कर दिया जाए?
That option is also available. In case it is feasible, that can also be done. Why not?
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
If it is possible, अगर मान लीजिए दूसरी जगह पर, it depends on ना कि दूसरे कॉलेज में इतना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है कि नहीं है, इतने सीट्स हैं कि नहीं है, इतनी फैकल्टी है कि नहीं है. अगर है तो दैट इज़ ऑल्सो एन ऑप्शन. पर नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि उनके पास लिमिटेड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होता है, लिमिटेड फैकल्टी होती है. अब उसके लिए मान लीजिए सारे बच्चों को वहाँ पर ट्रांसफ़र करना होगा, तो दे विल रिक्वायर एडिशनल रूम्स, दे विल रिक्वायर एनी additional infrastructure. But your point is correct that if it is feasible, that also is possible.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Okay, so give a brief overview, summary, as it is always there, and take the ethical issues involved. Discuss 4 laws that have been enacted by the government. Suggest measure to mitigate the working conditions faced by women. I don't know any one of you have seen a beautiful video regarding working women. That advertisement, a beautiful video, was brought about by Prega News, and that was regarding the life of a superintendent of police, a lady, and she goes to a railway station, and she's sitting in that railway waiting room, and there is another lady who's very much into the corporate thing, and this lady, this officer has got a child, and she's somehow trying to keep the child pacified by giving milk and so on with a bottle and so on. And then there is a lady who is sweeping the floor, and she says let me help you out with that bottle, etc. She starts helping that officer, and this lady, who is a corporate, she looks up and she says कि आपको लगता नहीं कि आपने अपनी ज़िंदगी सारी ख़राब कर दी by marriage? You have to look after this your child. Don't you think you are not in a position to pay attention to this, and neither work is successful, and this is. She says कि हाँ, थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम शुरू में तो आई थी, लेकिन small child which has come in my life has actually added to my happiness. So then that girl, still with sarcasm, says कि then कल को आप महसूस करेंगे कि that what you had lost by marrying and then having a child. And then she says कि I never felt like that, and I'm able to manage my work very well. She said, who are you then? He said, I manage the law and order in this district. I'm the superintendent of police of this district. And then it's revealed to her, and she looks up and she's ashamed. So that is a beautiful video. If time permit, I will show it to you also. But relating to this work-life balance, so work-life balance, let's see the ethical issues. Dual burden. Rashika faces the challenge of managing her responsibilities, both as a working professional and a mother. And parental duties. So these are the ethical issues. Number 1 is dual burden, work-life balance. Number 2 is parental duties. Her demanding job compromises her ability to fulfill role as a mother, especially during her children's formative years, जब बच्चे छोटे हैं उस समय. Third is work performance. Rashika's sense of not meeting her social obligation due to work stress, work ethics, the need for establishing reasonable work boundaries to prevent personal life disruption, and child socialization, so the potential impact on children's development. So now these ethical issues will come to your mind immediately when you put yourself in the shoes of that protagonist. So therefore always try to put yourself in the shoes of the protagonist, and you will come out immediately what are the ethical issues involved, who are the stakeholders, what are the options available, and so on. So let's see the government laws. Now, this is one thing which I often ask in the interview also to those who have qualified the mains. Ki, what are the laws, schemes, programs, public policies which the government has enacted for women, for children, for senior citizens, for scheduled caste, for scheduled tribes, for weaker section of society, and for disadvantaged sector, handicapped. So you must learn, understand what are the different laws which are there. So obviously these are the laws. So Factories Act, work hours regulation for women's safety, mandatory sanitary facilities. So a separate washroom, and also a creche facility is compulsory nowadays. Do you know that Supreme Court has also ordered that if a lady is passing by a hotel and she wants to use the washroom or wants to take water, they are allowed to enter, even if the right to admission is restricted. No hotel can ban the entry of a woman inside for taking water or using the washroom facility. So there are a large number of rules, laws, which have been framed by the government. And you know, one of the beautiful videos is by one lady called Diana, and where she comes across that even if you are a masculine, your idea should be feminine. Always you should be in favor of women's empowerment. Even if you are masculine, you must be feminine. In the interview also, you will never say anything against the empowerment of women. Now, this question often I ask is, which is that country which has got maximum number of legislators who are ladies? Which one? Finland. Google and you will find out. It starts with R, Rwanda. Rwanda is that country which has got maximum number of legislators who are women. So therefore such questions are often asked, and you must keep on improving your knowledge. And whenever a question is put to you regarding women's empowerment, always remain in favor of the women's empowerment. Okay? So therefore, Factories Act, Equal Remuneration Act, Sexual Harassment of of women at workplace. This particular act in 2013, which protects women from sexual harassment, this was framed after a Supreme Court guideline, Vishakha guideline, and Vishakha guidelines emanated from an incident in Rajasthan. What was that? Bhavri Devi case. So Bhavri Devi case, that resulted into an NGO approaching the Supreme Court, and then Vishakha guidelines were issued. And then there are many, so Maternity Benefit Amendment Act, and Plantation Labor Act, Mines Act, BD and Cigar Workers Act, then the Plantation Labor Act and Mines, so many. So there are many, and of course there are many things which are particularly for the protection of women. And I often ask this question to those who are at the interview. I said, which are the laws which are maximum violated in this country relating to women and children? Which laws are mostly violated? Come on. Okay, Equality, Equal Remuneration Act, that is violated. Domestic violence, yes. Labor laws also. Dowry prohibition, yes. Yes, equal wages. And children, the child labor. So these are this, in fact, when they appear, so I asked them this question in a lighter vein. I said, वो कौन सा कानून है, law है, जो कि उस ऑफिसर से मैं पूछता हूँ कि जो कि तुम भी वायलेट करोगे जब तुम सेलेक्ट हो जाओगे सिविल सर्विस में? Dowry prohibition act. So therefore there are many laws, okay? And so the suggestions and conclusion. Suggestions for mitigating work condition. So parental responsibilities. So on the suggestions would be equal sharing between both parents. So the lady must see to it that the responsibility is shared between her and her husband, sharing the responsibilities of the work. Nowadays, this again is something which is, the patriarchal society. If the husband is asked for washing the utensils or washing clothes or preparing food, it is regarded as unmanly. अरे कैसे हो सकता है? ये काम तो lady का है. So this is the kind of mindset. Yeah, that also is correct. Said by ladies only. But my view is that the ladies' mindset, particularly the young girls, their mindset has changed over a time. But men's mindset has not changed. Men आज भी जो है mindset उनका वही का वही है. शाम को 6 बजे के बाद जो है लड़की बाहर नहीं जा सकती. All those things. These are activities which are. You will not agree. Okay. Okay.
There are many men who are married and they are working in MNCs. So they are quite happy if their wife is working, if they are wearing something else, if they are going out after 6 or after 11 also. But many women are there who are not in support in women only.
Yeah,
so
the
we often
mother-in-laws,
say
mom-in-law.
patriarchal. ठीक है, आप women's के लिए metro में seat reserve कर देते हो. ठीक है, why woman is not understanding अगर उसको men के बराबर सब कुछ चाहिए. Why she is not able to stand 1.5 hour in metro?
Yeah, okay. That
also she has to.
That also is a valid point.
Other person can take your. दूसरा आपकी value तब करेगा ना if you are valuing yourself.
Yeah, but the man should be gallant. You see, I mean, one should definitely. You will not say that.
Targeting man only.
Okay, okay, right. So, okay, point is well taken. Yeah. So, so the important thing is that she should make sure that the responsibility is shared between her and her husband also. And the child care facility, strict adherence to laws mandating workplace creches. So the laws must be implemented very, very clearly, and flexible hours. So it is the job of the employer to provide work from home if necessary for the women. Why not? Flexible hours can be given. In foreign countries, it is a very regular thing, not only for male but also for, female, both of them, people can work. So in order to make out a balance between the work and life, therefore you have to carry out, and you can think of many ingenuities, new ideas, work from home, overtime compensation, if additional work hour and workplace communication, develop SOPs for task delegation and schedule changes. So the conclusion is lack of balance between one's personal and professional life. If there is a lack of balance, it leads to emotional exhaustion, depersonalization of relationship, and reduced sense. So this is how you will write the answer to this particular question. This is again a case study which is 2023 again, and Vinod is an honest and sincere IAS officer. Recently, he has taken over as Managing Director of the State Road Transport Corporation. His 6th transfer in the past 3 years. His peers acknowledge his vast knowledge, affability, and uprightness. And the chairman of the State Road Corporation is a powerful politician and is very close to the Chief Minister. Vinod comes to know about many alleged irregularities of the corporation and the high-handedness of the chairman in financial matters. So a board member of the corporation belonging to the opposition party, and he meets Vinod and he hands over some very sensitive documents to Vinod, and there is a video recording in which the chairman appears to be accepting bribe for placing a huge order for supply of some tires, okay, because it's a transport corporation. And Vinod recollects that the chairman expediting, so उसको याद आया कि chairman जो था उस फाइल को बहुत तेज चलाने के लिए कुछ दिनों पहले कोशिश कर रहा था, तो उसका अब डाउट जो है उसमें कन्वर्ट हो गया into reality. Vinod confronts the board member as to why he's shying away from exposing the chairman with the so-called solid proof he has with him. So he said कि आप खुद क्यों नहीं इसको जो है disclose करते, मेरे को क्यों दे रहे हैं आप? So the member informs him that the chairman refuses to yield to his threats. उसने कहा कि मेरी तो threats को chairman बिल्कुल उसको accept ही नहीं करता है. He adds that Vinod may earn recognition and public support if he himself exposes the chairman. Further, he tells Vinod that once his party comes to power, we will get you a very good posting for you. So Vinod is aware that he may be penalized if he exposes the chairman and may further be transferred to a distant place. He knows that the opposition party stands a better chance of coming to power in near future. उसको ये भी लग रहा है कि हाँ शायद अगली बार इलेक्शन में जो है opposition party will come to power. So in a way it tilts in favor of disclosing that thing. However, he also realizes that the board member is trying to use him for his own political gains. Because उसका political gain तो ये होगा ना कि he should expose the opposition chairman. So as a conscientious civil servant, evaluate the options available to Vinod. As I told you, options which are available. In the light of the above case, comment upon the ethical issues that may arise due to the politicization of bureaucracy. So 250 words and 20 marks for this case study. So approach is introduce by setting the context of the case. Same thing, summary of the case, context of the case, every time you have to do that. And I will tell you, in fact, show you. So write the options available to Vinod and evaluate each of them. Comment upon the ethical issues. Same questions, they keep on appearing. So option for Vinod. Number one option is expose corruption through official channels. So merits is promotes transparency and accountability, could enhance Vinod's reputation for integrity also, aligns with official protocols for combating corruption. So these are the merits. Okay, he will be exposing corruption. He will be, it will promote transparency and accountability. It will send a message to those people who are corrupt. And demerits is risk of being seen as a politically motivated step and potential retaliation on jeopardizing safety and career. Why? Because, why? One more reason. Just have a look at this. Why there will be a risk of potential retaliation? So see the case study. Now the chairman is close to the chief minister. So he faces, the chief minister will be inimical to him and he may transfer him to a very distant place. So that is the reason that there may be retaliation from the chief minister also. So this is how, and of course, as you rightly said, opposition, being in opposition, it would be seen that he is siding with the opposition people and there is a political motive out of it. Okay, so report corruption via media. So पहला option क्या था? Expose corruption through official channels. Means official channel का मतलब ये हुआ that he reports on a file which goes up to the chief minister saying that this is the corruption which I have exposed and this is through official manners. Second is he chooses the media. So merit says fulfills ethical duty to integrity, transparency, raises public awareness and pressure for reform, but demerit is risk of politicizing and career risks, punitive transfer. And one more thing which I would like to mention here is that a public servant is not expected to go to media without permission of the seniors. There are many people who have gone to the media and I will not take their names, but ultimately the government came very heavily upon them because the conduct rules clearly say that a civil servant cannot go to the media. They can go to the media with permission of the seniors in propagating the schemes and programs of Government of India. So Swachh Bharat or Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, yes, you can do that, but you can't, do other things, And I have seen many officers going there and they are slapping people, and the entire thing is recorded, district magistrate. Now, in order to show him off. Now, this is not allowed, you see. Those people are doing it in their own peril. And similarly, saying ki, this is how I cracked the IAS examination. It's not allowed. Those people who are doing it, they don't understand. Tomorrow, that video can be used against them under the conduct rules. So you are supposed to be a faceless person. You can only address media only when it is propagation of the government policies and programs. That too with the permission of this senior officers. Okay, so maintain political neutrality by inaction. Third option is maintain political neutrality by inaction. Inaction means कुछ नहीं यार बैठे रहो ठीक है उसने कह दिया हमने मैम पर मैं नहीं करता inaction. So एक ऑप्शन ये भी तो है ना कि मैं कुछ नहीं करता ताकि मैं politically totally neutral रहूं. And merits are there and demerits are there. That ethical conflict from inaction. अंतरात्मा की आवाज़ कहेगी कि यार तुम्हारे को नोटिस में ले आए थे फिर भी तुमने कुछ नहीं किया. You see, so that kind of thing will be there. So recommended course of action is ensure proofs authenticity, use credible official sources like CAG reports to expose corruption, avoid being politically exploited, prioritize ethical and legal standards. So you find out first of all the veracity, opposition wala, he may have a personal agenda. So look up at the CAG reports, the audit reports, and then find out if there is indeed such a thing which is happening, then you can expose it again through the official media. You cannot go to the media, you see, it has to be through the official circle. You must move the file to the Chief Minister and then bring it to his knowledge and let him take action as he deems fit. Okay, so so therefore, a recommended course of action, ethical issues. Second question was ethical issues. So number 1 was corruption, number 2 was public trust erosion, number 3 was inefficiency, number 4 was innovation stagnation. So corruption obviously, number 2 public trust erosion, political motives undermine citizens' confidence in government. So if public comes to know about it, then what will happen? They will start thinking कि यार इस government में तो सिर्फ corruption ही होता है. So the trust and the faith of the public in the government will go away. Third is inefficiency. Politically appointed bureaucrats may lack the skills for an effective administration. If he doesn't do anything, then it is actually inefficiency. Fourth is innovation stagnation. Political service can discourage risk-taking and innovation. So the bureaucracy must always be there to bring to light anything which is related to corruption. It is supposed to be innovative in all respects. So these are the ethical issues. You can think of many other ethical issues also. I'm not saying that these are the only ethical issues. Just think about it. What are the other ethical issues? It can be accountability. It can be transparency. Okay? It can be integrity. It can be honesty. These are all issues which are involved as ethical issues here. And then conclusion. So advocate for merit-based appointments, protect bureaucrat from political interference to ensure a professional, service-oriented bureaucracy. So, yeah, sure. Yes, sir. Okay, all right. Okay, I'll do that. So I was, one instance which I will mention here is that I was registrar of cooperative societies. Now registrar of cooperative society, all of you must have heard, there are housing cooperative society, transport cooperative society, there are many cooperative society where members come, like even Lijjat Papad, and these are all societies where people come and contribute to the share capital and to the loans, and then they start doing some business and then earn profit out of it, and that profit is shared by every member. So I was registrar of cooperative society. Registrar is the regulator who regulates the cooperative societies. And you know, registrar cooperative society is normally termed as, because he is so powerful, he is called Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. तीनों चीज उसके नाम है. Brahma because he registers the cooperative societies. Registration is done by the registrar. So he creates the societies, that is Brahma. Brahma creator होता है. Vishnu, he gives share capital and he gives loans, sustains the cooperative societies, and in case of default, he punishes the cooperative society by liquidating that cooperative society. So registrar is called as Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. So I was the registrar, and registrar has got almost all powers under the act. So there is, the file does not go to government. Everything is done by the registrar. So one day I was sitting in my office. It was a Friday. I got a call from the Chief Minister's office. And the Chief Minister was one Mr. Bansi Lal, who is known as the creator of Haryana. The entire development was done by Bansi Lal. And his principal secretary, you know, just like you have a PMO office, see, similarly, you have a CMO office. So the principal secretary to the Chief Minister, his name was Lalit Mohan Jain. He rang me up. He said, "Ki Krishna, kahan baithe ho?" मैंने कहा, "Sir, office में बैठा हूँ." "अच्छा सुनो, there is a very, very urgent thing which has sprung up." So I said, "Please tell me, sir." He said, the Haryana government, suddenly the revenues have gone down. So the expenditure limits which have been fixed by the Reserve Bank of India in the form of overdraft facilities, that has also gone down. So now the Reserve Bank of India will not honor our checks. So salaries has to be paid, the buses have to run, the hospital have to run. So the revenues have gone down. So therefore the expenditure also is also gone down. They will not allow the overdraft facilities till we make good the revenues. Revenue कौन सी होती है? Sales tax, excise, VAT, you know, stamp duty. So they keep on adding every day there is in. But somehow it so happened in the last few days the revenue mobilization was less. So the overdraft facility came down. So I said, "Sir, please tell me what is to be done." He said, "Krishna Mohan, you are sitting over a coffer of cooperative societies. Every cooperative society has got huge amount of money. You know, cooperative society like sugar mills, you know, then Gujarat and Karnataka, they have huge amount of money." So he said, "You are having the cooperative societies under you. They have got a lot of money. And I would request you that the state government may be given loan by these cooperative societies for about a month. Once we tide over the problem, I will return these loans back to the cooperative society. But right now, we want money which needs to be deposited in the government account. So let these cooperative society give loan to the government." Is it clear? So I looked up at the rules and I found that a state government can give loan to the society, but society cannot give loan to the state government. Other way around was allowed. So I said, "Sir, it is not allowed." He said, "But something has to be done. Think of some ingenious way, some creative way, which may not be illegal. I'm not saying that you go do some illegal. Within the framework of rules, can you come across with something?" I immediately called my meeting of my subordinate officers, and they were very good officers. And then they came up with a solution. You know, since Haryana was formed almost 35 years back, every year in the state budget, lot of money used to be given to the societies as share capital and loans. Every year, about 10 से 15 करोड़ रुपए हर साल गवर्नमेंट से societies को दिया जाता था. And that was to be returned back after 5 years. But it was never returned. सब उसी को दोबारा चलाते रहते थे, recirculate करते रहते थे. That money had become almost 600 to 700 crores of rupees, which government had given to the society, which they should have returned back, but it was not returned. So I said, "Sir, we have found a solution. As registrar, I will direct the societies to return the amount of money which they had taken from the state government in the last 30 years in the form of share capital and loans, which is a valid charge because they had to return it. I cannot get loan to you, but I can ask them to return what has been given by you to the societies." He was very happy. He said, "Let's do it." I immediately tried to contact my secretary. Secretary means above me. I was the head of the department. There was a secretary. Now, powers were with me. All powers were with me. But I thought I must bring it to the knowledge of the secretary just by way of, propriety. So I rang the secretary. Secretary was not in Chandigarh. The secretary had gone to Delhi. We did not have mobile facilities in those times. We had landline only. I tried desperately to contact the secretary, but I was unsuccessful. Time was passing by now. There was a pressure from the chief minister that we must give money during Saturday and Sunday. So I took the plunge and I said, okay, I will do that. In any case, the power are with me. So I rang up every collector in the state. The collectors are the chairman of the sugar mills. I rang them up and I said कि यार तुमने जो है ना करीब 20 करोड़ रुपया पिछले 20-25 सालों में जो स्टेट से लिया है, चेक काटो और चेक किसी के हाथ स्पेशल मैसेंजर चंडीगढ़ भिजवाओ. You know, those days we did not have RTGS or NEFT. समय कहाँ होता था ये सब? It had to be through a check. तो उसने कहा कि सर अभी बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर की मीटिंग के बगैर कैसे मैं चेक काट दूं? मैंने कहा तुम चेक काट दो, बाद में इसको रेगुलराइज करा लेना इन द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स मीटिंग. आई एम सेंडिंग यू अ डायरेक्शन and I directed them by writing given an order that you return that money. All the collectors, similarly other societies, we gave directions. They all sent their people, and by the Saturday morning, we had got about 700 crores of rupees in Chandigarh. And then on Monday, that money was deposited and the overdraft limit was opened up. Everything went off very well. The CM was very happy, the principal secretary, the finance secretary, everyone was happy. Next day, I contacted my secretary who had come back from Delhi, and I said, I wanted to come to you. He said, come over. And I told the secretary, during your absence, this was a crisis which was created. The CM office was involved. They had said that it has to be done in public interest. I did it in public interest without any violation of rules. Whatever was done as per rules. But I tried to contact you, you were not there. So I'm telling you now that the crisis is over, you should be happy about it. That in your absence, I was able to tide over that problem. The secretary listened to me, didn't say anything. I went back to my office. Next day, I got on my table a letter seeking my explanation by the secretary. Why did you return the money to the state government, knowing fully well that the societies, they were financially weak societies? So I was flabbergasted. I said, but I had already explained to the secretary why it was done. So I went to the Chief Minister's office. Because you see, if your immediate superior, first of all, you reassure, if he or she does not understand, you have to go to the next level. So I went to the Chief Minister's office and I said, sir, this is the reward for doing good work. I have got an explanation call by the secretary. So Lalit Mohan Jain was a very outstanding, a very strong officer. So was the Bansi Lal. Yesterday also I told you an instance where the minister was trying to do hanky-panky and I went to the chief minister. So Lalit Mohan Jain said, no problem, you give a reply to this show cause notice. And we will deal with it because the file will have to go to the chief minister. An IAS officer cannot be proceeded against till it is approved by the chief minister. So he said, just file the reply. I filed the reply. The file she wrote against me, the secretary was one lady, she wrote against me, and then the file went to the minister. And the minister was also kind of in cahoots with that secretary. He also wrote against me that disciplinary action should be taken. And now the file was to reach the chief minister. So I went to the chief minister, I said, sir, the file is about to reach you. He said, don't worry. I have apprised Mr. Bansi Lal. Bansi Lal was apprised, and Bansi Lal, when the file came, Bansi Lal wrote with his own pen, here was a case which is within my knowledge, and this officer did the right thing by providing the necessary finances in a situation which was very grave, financial bankruptcy. It would have brought the state to a very bad name, and he was able to tide over this problem. And I'm surprised, he wrote, I'm surprised that instead of patting his back, the secretary has chosen to ask for his explanation. And then he wrote, I, Bansilal, hereby ask for the explanation of the secretary as to why she asked for the explanation of Mr. Krishna Mohan. So the tables were reversed now. Now the explanation was on her side. क्या चीज?
What is the intention behind of principal secretary asking your question why you did this?
Yeah, so the argument which she advanced was कि let the government muster their own sources. The cooperative societies are weak societies financially. You should not have taken money from the societies and given to the state government. But when it comes to the largest number, after all, in public interest, many times when the salaries have to be paid and other things, sometimes you have to take such steps. And I did not take any step which was against law. I had also got the promise from the Mr. L.M. Jain that within 1 month, we will pay back that amount to them. So she should not have actually any grievance. एक महीने की तो बात थी, but she was angry with the chief minister. In fact, the secretary and the minister, they were on one side and the chief minister was on other side. तो उसका गुस्सा था, तो वो मेरे कंधे पर बंदूक रख के against chief minister करना चाह रही थी. So she did that. There was no reason because it was a temporary thing. Or they would have got the entire amount back after 1 week. But she chose that. Anyway, it's someone's. So then what happened? The chief minister asked for her explanation. And she was very angry. And she tried desperately to get that adverse note on the file. But she was not able to get it off till the chief minister was changed and Om Prakash Chautala came. And then she was able to get. But I thought the matter is over. The matter was not over. Then came April. April, you write the annual confidential reports. साल का जेखा जोखा जो होता है, हर ऑफिसर का, उसका superior officer, there are 3 officers who write, reporting officer, reviewing officer and accepting officer. So reporting officer was the secretary, reviewing officer was the minister, and the accepting officer was the chief minister. So after end of the year, she had to write my ACR. And I knew that she's not going to give me outstanding ACR. I always had outstanding ACR, but I knew that she will not give. And she was very angry, understandably. So I knew that she's going to give me a lukewarm ACR. Lukewarm का मतलब गुनगुना होता है ना, ना इधर का ना उधर का. And that is the good ACR. Good ACR में ना इधर है ना उधर है. Good के बाद very good है. Good ACR का communicate नहीं किया जाता. It is never communicated. Adverse ACR communicate हो सकता है. Then you can represent. But good ACR you cannot represent. So I came to know that she has given me good ACR. And now what happened? After a few days, I get a call from an officer who was Secretary Agriculture. During the last year, I had served in 2 capacities. One as Registrar Cooperative Society under the lady. The second was as Director Agriculture under Secretary Agriculture. If you have served for more than 3 months, then that officer will also write my ACR. So now the file traveled to the Secretary Agriculture. His name was Naseem Ahmed. He rang me up. Krishna Mohan, तेरा ACR good दिया उसने. चिंता मत कर. I know your work. I will upgrade it. And he upgraded it to very good. And then, now the file had to travel to the minister, who was against me. And I was worried. I was a careerist. I didn't want to get, So normally what people do is, who are inimical to you. So the minister would not give me an ACR. He would keep the file pending. निकालेगा ही नहीं फाइल. और जिस दिन सरकार गिरेगी 5 साल की, बैक डेट से वो उसके ऊपर एडवर्स एसीआर देगा और फाइल आगे बढ़ा देगा. तब तक चीफ मिनिस्टर हैज गॉन. जब सरकार चली गई तो वो बैक डेट से करेगा. एंड आई न्यू दैट कि दिस मिनिस्टर इज नाउ गोइंग टू कीप द फाइल पेंडिंग टिल द गवर्नमेंट फॉल्स, एंड देन on the last day, he will with the back date, he will write my ACR, and then next day, the chief minister would not be there. So nobody will be able to write my ACR as accepting officer. His ACR would become final. So I again went to Mr. L.M. Jain and I said, sir, file is about to reach the minister, my ACR. Would you like to intervene? Something can be done about it, my ACR, outstanding. He said, don't worry. He went to Mr. Bansilal. And Mr. Bansilal, can you imagine what he did? He was such an accountable person. He rang up the governor and he recommended to the governor that the minister be dismissed tonight. The minister was dismissed by the governor that very night, and the file did not go to the minister, then it went to the chief minister. Because minister ja chuka tha. Can you imagine a chief minister coming to rescue of an officer? He was a very tall personality. I didn't even know Mr. Bansilal, but he was an accountable person. He defended the action. When he said, when I have passed orders, I have to defend that officer. And there are many such politicians who will go to the hilt to defend your actions. That is what makes the civil service so interesting. So then the file went to the chief minister and he gave me an outstanding ACR. And then, but he was not satisfied with that only. He said, yaar, kuch aur karna chahiye is afsar ke liye. He said, what can we do about it? So the Joint Secretary Political Services, he said, kuch aur kar sakte hain is officer ko? We need to encourage this officer. He said, हाँ sir, इनको appreciation letter issue करना चाहिए. And he issued an appreciation letter to me, which was placed on my confidential roll. So this is how sometime I feel, if you are on the right track, divine force as if it comes down and it helps you out if you are on the right track. You don't have to worry. Take risks in life, not in the interview. I always keep on saying, interview mein mat lena. But definitely in your career, take risks. No harm will come to you. If you are bona fide in actions, nothing will happen to you. So this is how I came out of it. The lady was able to get that adverse entry removed only subsequently when the chief minister was changed, Mr. Om Prakash Chautala. I never nursed any grievance against her. The lady was suffering from grave health problems, and she passed away after a few years also. But what I'm trying to say is that there are so many checks and balances in the service that if you are doing the right thing, you don't have to fear anything. So this is only one of the examples which I wanted to tell you. Let's proceed further. We will mention some other examples also. So you have been appointed as Additional Director General of Central PWD Department. The Chief Architect of your division, who is to retire in 6 months, is passionately working on a very important project, and the successful completion of which would earn him a lasting reputation for the rest of the life. A new lady architect Seema, trained at Manchester School of Architecture, UK, joined as senior architect in your division. During the briefing about the project, Seema made some suggestions which would not only add value to the project, but would also reduce completion time. So this has made the chief architect insecure, and he becomes worried. Ki yaar ye lady to, she is going to take me over, after all. She's more brilliant than me. And he became worried, and he started becoming disrespectful to her. And Seema felt it embarrassing, as the chief architect left no chance to humiliate her. He would very often correct her in front of other colleagues and raise his voice while speaking to her. Let me tell you, I was once collector of Karnal. So I had the personal staff comprises of, amongst others, a driver and a gunman, who always are with you. And one day they did something, a folly, and I reprimanded them in front of everyone. So I had a private secretary. It was a very old Khurat, private secretary. And that fellow, when I came back to the room, he said, sir, I may be very, very junior to you, but I'm much senior to you in age. Can I suggest to you something? I said, yes, why, definitely, tell me. I had only 8 years of service as collector. So he said, sir, always believe in one principle. Praise in public and criticize in private. Never criticize in front of anyone, because they will lose their self-respect. Even if they had committed something wrong, which I understand, but you should have called them individually in your room and given them a dressing. That would have kept the self-respect of that person. So whenever there is something which you want to say to someone, believe in this principle, never criticize them in private. Praise in public, because that will, improve their confidence and they will feel much more motivated. But criticism जो है सबके सामने कभी नहीं करना चाहिए. So here the chief architect was started. They started actually criticizing that lady in front of everyone. She started losing confidence, and you are aware of her outstanding academic credentials and career record in her previous organization. However, you fear that this harassment may result in compromising her much needed contribution, and therefore you have also come to know from her peers that she is contemplating tendering her resignation. Demotivation. So what are the ethical issues involved in the case? What are the options available in order to complete the project as well as retain Seema in your organization? You would not like to lose Seema from your organization. And what would be your response to Seema's predicament? What measure would you institute to prevent such things from happening in future? So now, briefly mention the facts of the case, highlight the ethical issues as usual, bring the options available, mention the response, Seema situation, discuss the measure that can be taken to prevent such occurrences in future. So this is also one of the things which we normally says, long-term recommendations, so that such things do not occur in future. So we'll talk about it in a little while. We still have a good amount of time. Answer. Ethical issue. Workplace harassment. The chief architect's behavior constitutes harassment, creating a hostile environment. Toxic work culture. Inability to accept feedback fosters a culture where staff fear retaliation. Leadership deficiency. So failure to share credit reflects poor leadership. This is what I was saying. One should always praise for the good things that someone has done. And emotional well-being being impacted. So Seema's loss of confidence and increased stress due to aggressive behavior from the superior. So options for addressing the issue: support and inquiry. So the Additional Director General can provide support to Seema and initiate a formal inquiry if necessary. Mediation and conflict resolution. Organize a meeting with both the parties to resolve this. Whenever there is a problem, there are two parties involved, there is a conflict between the two parties, one of the things that you have to do is called as conflict management. And conflict management, if you find time, whenever you find time, you can go through. There are 5 methodologies of conflict management. One is called withdrawal or avoidance. Withdrawal or avoidance. Number 2 is accommodation. Number 3 is compromise. Number 4th is confrontation. And number 5th is collaboration. So conflict management has got 5 ways of handling a conflict. It can be between superior and a subordinate, for example, management and the workforce. And there was a conflict between the management and workforce at Maruti in Manesar, where one HR manager was killed also. So there can be many such things. Simple conflict can be ki you stop talking to the person sitting beside you, and he or she is talking, but you turn your face away. It is also a conflict. It's a milder kind of conflict. There can be serious conflict where you turn violent and inflict injuries onto the other person. So there are many types of conflict. So this kind of a conflict, whenever it happens, the superior officer must intervene then and there rather than sweeping it under the carpet and postponing. Never postpone a conflict. One should immediately, if he's finding that the chief architect is trying to misbehave with the lady, it is the duty of the ADJ to immediately come forward and resolve that conflict. Okay. So preferred action is mediation and conflict resolution should be prioritized to address the issue directly and promptly. So responding to Seema's predicament. So recognition, publicly acknowledge Seema's contribution to the project. If you publicly acknowledge, she will feel elated. सबके सामने कहे कि भाई देखो तुमने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है. So this is how indirectly you encourage a person who is being victimized by her superior. So you praise in public. Warning to the chief architect, issue a stern warning against further inappropriate behavior. Counseling for Seema. So offer professional psychological support to Seema. And safe work environment, implement measures to protect all employees from harassment. So you must have, in fact, POSH also is particularly for providing such a safe environment for the women who are working in that organization. Okay, so future preventive measures. So future preventive measure is the action which you would recommend for the future, so that thus such a thing does not recur. So sensitization, educate all employees on harassment and their rights. Cultural improvement, promote a culture that values diverse opinions and discourages isolation. Conclusion is enforce ethical standards, and ADG can lead by example to inspire respectful and inclusive behavior through the organization. So that is what exactly this particular thing. And this of course is in a very small font. You hold a responsible position in the ministry, in the government. One day in the morning you receive a call from the school of your 11-year-old son that you are required to come and meet the principal. You proceed to the school and find your son is in the principal's office. The principal informs you that your son had been found wandering aimlessly in the ground during the time classes were in progress. So the class teacher further informs that your son has lately become a loner and did not respond to the questions in the class, and he had also been unable to perform well in the football. You bring your son back from the school, and the evening you along with your wife try to find out the reasons for your son's changed behavior. After repeated cajoling, your son shares that some children have been making fun of him in the class as well as in the WhatsApp group of the student by calling him stunted, do and frog. He tells you the names of a few children who are the main culprits, but pleads with you to let the matter rest. कि खत्म हो जाने दीजिए, क्या ज़रूरत है? They will victimize me. But after a few days during sporting event where you and your wife have gone to watch your son play, one of your colleagues' son shows you a video in which the students have caricatured your son. So they have imitated your son. And further he also points out to the perpetrators who were sitting in the stands, and you purposefully walk past them with your son and go home. Next day you find on social media a video denigrating you, your son and even your wife, stating that you engaged in physical bullying of children on the sports field, which was totally incorrect. She did not do any such thing. You in turn posted a video in which you have captured during the sporting event identifying the likely perpetrators who were responsible. You have also narrated what has actually happened in the field. So based on the above case study, discuss the ethical issues and discuss the pros and cons of the social media, using social media you to put across the facts. So this kind of question came in 2023, and so the approach is mention the ethical issues involved in the use of social media in the given context, because social media always has got both ends, positive and negative. You can distort the actual happenings with the help of social media, and discuss the pros and cons of using social media and posting the counter video. Conclude appropriately. So ethical issues in social media: cyberbullying, harassment of family members including a young child. Now this is what I say, slightly I will divert from this. The important thing, you are all of course young boys and girls. One of the things which I always felt that when you will become senior, then one must take care of the children, and the briefing and the debriefing of the child must be carried out by the parents. So before the child goes to the school, you must brief that child, because he or she will be going into the school and they will be witnessing lot of strangers and lot of other people who may or have a good influence or may have a bad influence. So you must do the briefing, telling them what should be done and what should not be done. And when the child comes back, you must carry out the debriefing of the child also, to learn what are the things which he or she had learned there. Some of those things may be good, some of them they may be bad, so that, and that is must be done by one of the parents at least. And the parent teachers meeting, always make it a point to attend the parent teacher meeting. Whenever such situation arises, you must go and attend the parent teacher meeting, because that is, if you have decided to bring a child, then you must take care about the future of the child also. Nowadays the new concept has come where the both husband and wife, they are earning members, they don't want to have a child. Okay, that concept is known as DINGS. I'm sure you are aware about DINGS. What is DINGS? So double income and no kids. So that is DINGS. So that is the concept which has come. But if you have decided to bring a child to this world, it is necessary that you must take care of the child. I remember when I was transferred from Karnal, I was the collector of Karnal from 84 to 86. I had an elder daughter and then another daughter who was born while I was in Karnal. So when we came to Chandigarh after 2 years, she was just 2 years old, the younger one, and we wanted to put her in a preparatory school. So preparatory school, the number of children in a section are much less, and the greater attention is paid to the child as compared to a bigger school. So I was given to understand that there was a best preparatory school which was called as Vivek Preparatory School in Chandigarh. And the principal of that school was a lady. Her name was Sharda Dutt, a very, very good educationist. And she was a very, very strict lady. So I became the collector and I rang her up. I said, ma'am, may I come to meet you with a request? She said, yes, come over. So I went along with my wife and I said, we have a daughter and if you could kindly admit, yours is the best school. So she interviewed us and then after that she admitted the child. Okay, and then she started going to the school. She was very happy. We were also very happy. And one day, the annual function was to be held. And you know, in annual function, every child is made to do something or the other. Some act. किसी ने कविता सुनाना है तो किसी ने कुछ और करना है, कोई one act play है. So my daughter also was given some responsibility of probably narrating a poem. And it so happened, I, being the collector, I was held up in a meeting. And by the time I reached home, my wife was saying, you are late now. We have to go and see the annual function where our daughter is also to perform. So we hurriedly went to the school. And when we entered, and there in front of everyone, that principal was standing with glaring eyes. And she said, do you know, Mr. Mohan, when your child's turn came, she had to narrate a poem in front of everyone. She was looking around in the audience to see the sight of her parents, and you people were not there. Every child was looking for one's parents. They were clapping and they were so happy, and you people stayed away from seeing that your child and see the disappointment which came in the minds of your child. And then she said, never before, never in the future should you ever repeat this thing. If you have your child admitted in this school, it is your responsibility to see that she gets the necessary motivation. I apologized to her and I said, ma'am, you are absolutely right and it will not happen again. And I saw to it. So what I'm trying to say is that children always pose a very, very great responsibility upon the parents who have to look after them. So here in this case also, the harassment of the family members, including the young child via derogatory online content, that was an ethical issue. Cyberbullying, fake news, that was a fake news they published on the social media. Privacy violation, non-consensual recording and the sharing of personal moments. The recording was done by those people and as well as this person. It was not done with consensus, online harassment and discrimination. So these are the ethical issues involved in this particular case. So you just do some mind boggling exercise, and you will be able to know what are the different issues. And then response to online harassment or counter video, that was also a question part of that. So the pros are direct communication, allows for an immediate and wide-ranging response. That's a positive thing. Correcting misinformation. So those children were trying to give misinformation, so he had to correct that misinformation because it was leading to misinformation amongst the people. Reputation management helps safeguard the family's public image. Transparency, demonstrate openness. Control over narrative, so enables the family to share their perspective, authenticity, and community support. So this is how you will write the pros. Now regarding the cons, that is online counter video. What is the con? Emotional toll. Many cause additional stress and provoke further negative feedback. क्या होगा? आपने दूसरा करा तो फिर वो उधर से फिर से एक और recording वो करेगा. So this will go on. So therefore this will happen. Escalation of conflict. Conflict will get escalated. Unwanted attention. Risk drawing more focus to the negative situation. And who will be the sufferer? The child. So risk of misunderstanding, social media communication, and social impact on the child might inadvertently lead to social isolation for the son. लोग उसको बात करना छोड़ दें. So the conclusion is, despite potential drawbacks, taking action by posting a counter video was necessary to defend the family's integrity, counteract harmful narratives, and address cyberbullying head-on. This approach supports the principle of standing against online victimization and upholds, because ultimately it is the job of the parents to safeguard the what is right. And in this case, the child was victimized. They have to take care of that child. You will have your ups and downs, but by and large, every one of you will have some years of excellent postings, some year mediocre postings, some year average postings, lower postings. But you will always have share of good postings also. But you should stay always on the right side of the law. So Prakash is a very able officer. Let me give you some more interesting case studies. And here, so Prakash was a very able officer known for his integrity. He was specially chosen to be the director of the academy that trains the officers of a central service. A new batch of probationers joined the academy. As it often happens, one of the probationers, Ravi, took a liking to another probationer, Jaya. And in such cases, if the liking is mutual, the couple may get married. Many times it happens, a couple get married also. But in this case, Jaya was not interested in Ravi and told him very clearly. Ravi did not want to give up. One evening at dinner time, this is a true incident which I am narrating to you. Ravi brandished the revolver, and he took out the revolver and threatened her, and again asked Jaya to reconsider the decision. This was witnessed by every other probationer. So the other colleagues managed to contain him. किसी तरह उसको पकड़ा, जिसने revolver निकाल लिया था, and took him away. The matter was reported to Prakash, and he ordered an inquiry by his deputy officer. Based on the report of the inquiry, Prakash decided that Ravi was not fit to continue in the service. Always remember one thing, 2 years is the probation. You can be dispensed with the services within 2 years without assigning any reason, without any inquiry. So be very careful in the first 2 years of your service. Never take chance, never take pangas, because this fellow was then declared as unbecoming of an officer. And the probation was terminated. Department of Personnel concurred with his recommendation, and his probation was terminated. Ravi, however, had political connections in Delhi. Within a month, he got the orders reversed, and he came back to the academy. And he openly celebrated his victory. Prakash felt betrayed and slighted. So what are Prakash's options and the consequences of each one? Which option would you recommend and why? Now tell me, what are the options before Prakash? Should ask?
प्रकाश के वो जो रवि था उसको दोबारा जो ज्वाइनिंग हुआ था उसके लिए एक्सप्लेनेशन मांगनी चाहिए था उसको अथॉरिटी से कि क्यों उसको दोबारा रिज्वाइन करवाया गया. ही इज़ नॉट a married person, has not have competence to serve as is desirable.
That fellow, with the help of political connection, has come back to the academy. Prakash feels slighted कि उसके recommendation के बाद उसको terminate भी कर लिया, लेकिन उसने दोबारा अपने political connection से आ गया. अब प्रकाश feels slighted. What should Prakash do now? उसका yes.
Prakash can go to a superior officer than Ravi has gone.
Yes.
And then he can explain him the whole situation and then do the needful.
Okay. So that is one option, correct. You have to write all possible options there. और क्या option हो सकते हैं? Yes. One option obvious is that he stomachs the insult and continues like that. ठीक है, अब करा के ले आए, ऊपर से order play कर. That is one option. Second option is he resigns. He says कि भाई, you have gone against my recommendation. I am not willing to serve. Or he seeks a transfer. So these are all our options available. Okay. So Prakash's options: stomach the insult and continue in his position. No complication, but he would lose his self-respect. Number 2, take the complaint to a higher level, as you very rightly said, and fight for Ravi's ouster. This is an ethical action, but the outcome is uncertain. Number 3 is seek a transfer out of the academy. This again is an ethical option, though Prakash would lose a good posting. So this is how you will write. Now I'm not giving the details. The details in the sense that for each option you will write merit and you will also write demerit. And then you will write all the 8 steps. This is just for quickly, as a short form, I'm showing you the options only. But when you will write the case study, which I'm going to tell you, the strategy for writing a case study, again, yesterday we talked about it, but today again I will talk, because that is something which you have to keep in mind, the 8 steps. So I'm here only showing you the options, okay? But these are the most important part of your case studies writing. Is it clear or not? Okay? But here I could have made a table that each option merits, demerits, okay? 4th, resign from the service. ये भी तो option है, resign from the service. This is an extreme option, not to be chosen easily. So recommendation is follow option 2 first, and if it does not succeed, option 3. This is based on a true events. In the real case, the director resigned from the service because he had lost faith in the system. This was a true case. So option 2 and then option 3. What was option 2? Take the complaint to a higher level and fight for Ravi's ouster. Then if that does not happen, seek a transfer out of the academy. So many times we will write the answer this way, that first option 2, then option 3. Sometimes we can also write both 2 options together also, like I will show you in another case. See this particular case, read it. Sulekh Sharma had just been posted as the director of the training institute of a public sector company. The institute campus is a beautiful campus, and Sulekh is told that every year a mela is held on the campus grounds by the local community. It is held on a holiday when there are no training programs, and the organizers do not disturb anyone. And in fact, they clean up the area also after the mela is over. Sulekh is also told that the company was keen to maintain good relations with the local community, and that hence the permission was always granted without charge. कोई उसका charge नहीं था. It is always granted. And on the first occasion, the mela happens after Sulekh taking over as director. He ensures full cooperation for the event and in fact was present the whole day. This is the first page. Have you read it? Okay. At the end of the day, the organizers came to Sulekh and they thanked him and gave him an envelope containing 5,000 rupees in cash. When Sulek told them that it was without charge, it was free of cost, they said, but we have always been giving this 5,000 rupees to your predecessor, Sunil. Now he was in a dilemma. Few options which are part of the case study itself. Now many times what will happen is the case study, they will themselves mention the options. But at the same time they will say, are there any more options? So you will have to add any more options also. Okay? So these are the 4 options which are already part of the case study. The first is accept the cash and do nothing else. Yani 5,000. Now it is unethical. But as I told you, all options are to be mentioned, ethical or unethical, which can be implemented, which need not be implemented. But you will have to give. This will show you that you are aware about the entire spectrum from one end to the other end. Okay? So accept the 5,000 rupees and do nothing else. After all, he spent the whole day helping the organizers. Number 2, refuse the money. Number 3, report the matter to the higher authority and let them take any action they deem fit against Sunil. So report करें नीचे senior officers को and tell them that this is what has been happening and report the matter against the previous officer, that is Sunil. 4th is evolve a policy for renting the ground with proper payment to the company by check. So the question is, are there any other options before Sulek? What course of action should he follow? Justify your choice. So what are first of all, you have to tell me any other options are there, and then you have to tell me which option is the correct option. Option 3. Okay. All right. What is the reason for 3?
Even don't repeat.
Okay. Any other? Yes, sir.
Well, another option could be accept the money and maybe reinvest it in the development of that premises where the mela was held.
Okay.
For future melas.
Okay. Piche.
So option 4.
Option 4. Okay.
Yes, because proper code of conduct will be laid down.
Okay.
In future, if any program will be taken place on that ground, so proper code of conduct will be there for organizing such an event.
Okay. So you said option 4, you said option 3, and you said option 1. Any other? Option 2 and 4 together. Okay. 2 and 4 together.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, I want to add one more option, sir. Sir, just like creating awareness among this local community that there is no charge for the melas which is happening in that ground, or whether one more thing that Sulek can do, just evolve a policy that that there is no charge for any organizing any mela on this whatever ground, that training ground or whatever ground it is, and that create awareness among them.
So you said that create awareness amongst the people, tell them that there is no such charge and that
it is from government or something like
from government. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Sure.
So first thing first, he must be ethical. So first he should refuse the money. Secondly, he should report about it because he is ethical, but there is no chance that the second person who will come later will be ethical also. So he can take the bribe or he can take much more money and create problems. So he should report it so that in future this kind of things doesn't happen again. And he should also implement one kind of policy for renting the ground, because they are doing mela, they are getting money, so there should not be anything for free. So there should be some kind of, at least just a nominal kind of fees with which they can rent the ground, so it will be completely ethical, completely okay with everything. There will be no ethical problem for future also, and presently there will be no issues also. So I think that will be better.
Okay, very good. So now let me combine all the recommendations which have come to you. First of all, option 1, accepting the cash and do nothing else. Now that is a totally unethical option because it is against the conduct rules. You cannot accept money, and but you said that you supplemented by saying that he accept the money but invests it for the welfare of the house. But he cannot accept the money unless there is a laid policy in that regard, because the moment you accept money, immediately you are subject to unethical practice. So you cannot accept anything other than your salary from anyone. Okay, so number 1 as such is incorrect, is unethical, but the part which you said, that was the actually part of the 4th part, evolving policy, that was correct. Talking about refusing the money, yes, he has to refuse the money. So definitely B is the correct thing. But supposing he only sticks to B, does not take any other option along with B, then the person who will come later on, there is no guarantee that he will or she will start accepting money. So the thing which you said, it will perpetuate the thing. So therefore, only 2 is not sufficient. So number 1, of course, he has refused the money, but then he has to evolve a policy for referring, that ground, that when whatever money comes, that money is against receipt, so that it comes into the accounts of the books. Now coming to number 3. Part of it is correct, that you can refer the matter to the senior officers. But recommending action against Sunil may not be the correct thing, because there is no evidence that Sunil had accepted the money. It is only their word. They are saying कि जी पिछले वाले को हम देते थे. What is the confirmation? There is no such thing. So you cannot report against your predecessor. You can report the matter as such. So therefore, reporting the matter to them would help them, that they will come out with a policy now. So in this case, it is a tricky question where the number 1 is totally unethical, number 2 is correct, number 3 part of it is correct, you can report to the higher authority, but the 4th one is the most important, that you evolve a policy. So you will write options 1, 2, 3, 4, merits and demerits of each option, and that is how you will ultimately recommend. You will recommend this, you will recommend 2 and 4. 3, if you want, you can report it partially. So that is what is going to be the case here. Yeah.
Sunil, if we will not report, then that person Sunil, wherever he will go, he will do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. But
If
then let it be caught. Let it be caught.
Unethical here.
How do you know?
That is the thing now I want to ask you, how we can collect proof for that person.
Yes, so unless and until there was some proof which these people who are handing over, they are alleging that your previous man was taking 5,000 rupees. If they have any proof, then you can order an inquiry and report against your predecessor. But if they have no proof, it will not be proper, because tomorrow anyone can talk about you also, and then you will unnecessarily get into. So one should be very clear that evidence should be there. So part of 3 is fine. I'm not saying this thing, part of 3, that is report the matter to the higher authority, is fine. But you cannot report against your predecessor. Because if you report that he was taking money, they will say, where is the proof?
Sir, that can go against us also, na? If we will leave from that post, and after us, if somebody else came, then these persons can say the same thing about us also.
Yeah, no, because before leaving, you will have a policy.
That's why option 4.
Yeah, so once there is a policy, then they will, whatever money is given by them, the successor, your successor will have to give receipt. It has to be shown in the accounts of the company. He cannot accept a cash like that.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
sir.
yeah.
So my answer was more of a answer to the options available to him, not to accept the cash, but can we write a non-ethical option.
Option
when
is fine.
asked.
Yes, yes.
So
Absolutely.
So
Option, the first option is there. You should write that.
that was the first thing.
Yes,
that I
yes,
told,
absolutely. You will mention all the options, whether ethical, unethical, practical, non-practical. Yes. You will not leave that. Just like in that case of college also, he was offering a bribe for passing that college. So you will write that. Yes, accept the bribe. That is an option. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yes.
Sir, can we write another option that government land is not for melas? So we can outrightly deny permission.
So now here the question is not that. Question is that the mela is over. They have come with 5,000 rupees. So you have to evolve a policy. In the fourth part, you can always have this ground also, okay, that in future we will not allow this thing. That also is there. You can add one more, that since this kind of malpractice is being practiced, so we will not give it to the community. But invariably, you like to have a cordial relation with the local community. So normally we give extent, for it is only one day, and in order to have a long-term better relation with the community. Because you have to survive, if there is an Indian Oil Corporation, if there is an HPCL, you have to survive within that locality. So you should always be positive, helpful. Okay. So demolish a building for a good cause. Just go through this case study. So a rural government hospital was in a bad condition, and Dr. Nandan, the superintendent, was unable to get funds allotted for renovating it. His repeated pleas to the director of medical services did not yield any result because there was a shortage of funds. One night during heavy rains, a tree fell on one side of the hospital building and caused some damage. When the director came to inspect the damage, he suggested to Dr. Nandan that he should willfully demolish the dilapidated structure. एक पेड़ से थोड़ा सा गिरी गया, सारा ही तोड़ डालो. You see, and then an urgent case can be made for immediate sanction of special funds for rebuilding the hospital. यानी पूरा hospital नया बनाने के लिए. Now Nandan faced an ethical dilemma. Deliberately demolishing parts of the hospital would be unethical and illegal. It is not only unethical, it is illegal also. You cannot demolish government property. The moment you do that, you are facing a criminal charge. Destroying a public property is an offense under Indian Penal Code. And but such an act would bring funds. So in a way, it is a utilitarian that the means may not be correct, but the ends you will get more funds out of it. An renovated hospital would help many poor people. So what are the ethical issues involved in this case? Describe options and the pros and cons of each option. Give your recommendation providing reasons. What will you say?
The two extremes which are
extremes.
obvious, do it, don't do it. The ethical conundrum in doing it would be, where will the patients which are already there go?
सर द थर्ड ऑप्शन इज अगर पूरा बिल्डिंग गिरा देते हैं तो जिन पेशेंट्स का इलाज चल रहा है वो भी रुक जाएगा.
वो भी रुक जाएगा. Okay. So what will you recommend? Which option?
सर आई वुड सजेस्ट नॉट टू डू इट.
Not to do it. Okay. Yes. अच्छा. हाँ.
For medical funds also.
So you said that get some special funds for reconstructing that portion which has been demolished.
No, sir.
Completely demolishing.
No, sir. Not completely demolishing, but the first part to renovate that structure of the building that was
Which has fallen.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But apart from that was already actually, sir, जो पोर्शन ऑलरेडी ख़राब होने को है या फिर गिरने को है, बचे हुए फंड से हम उसको ठीक करेंगे, बाकी के पैसे से और भी चीज़ें जो फंड में हो सकते हैं या ट्रीटमेंट के मशीन्स में ला सकते हैं.
Yeah, good enough. So one is that कि जो टूट गया है उसको तो रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करें,
Yes, sir.
और जो नहीं टूटा है उसको रिपेयर करें,
Yes, sir.
है ना? Yeah. So that is also a correct option. Any other would like to? Yes.
PWD department about the issue, and then the PWD department can contact to the director of medical board regarding the situation of the building. So
Make a
then
case,
renovation.
Jeffel, foot justification to send it to the director,
Yes.
saying that this should be done. But here, the
Authorized.
director himself has suggested that, isn't it? So the director, nothing one night is, so therefore, Dr. Nandan, that he should be willful. Director came to inspect the damage, और उसने कहा कि सारे demolish कर डालो, तो केस बन जाएगा. So he himself is talking about an unethical action, isn't it?
So sir, again higher authority के पास हम जा सकते हैं.
Okay, all right, okay, fine. Yes.
If in case in future the infrastructure is not able to stay at a place, if the building can collapse at any time, so it will be better to
Yes, if the building has outlived its life, it has become risky, then it can be demolished. So that will be carrying out a full survey of that building by the PWD authorities to find out if it has outlived the life, then you can demolish it. But it has to be done in that legal manner. You cannot demolish the building as such, because that is unlawful and illegal. So here the option was number one, the director has said that you demolish the building and then send the case. So now that is one option which is totally illegal. Okay, so he cannot do that, but he has to do something in order that the building is able to, so deliberately demolishing would be unethical. So what are the ethical issues? Let's see. Option before Dr. Nandan, follow the director's suggestion. पहला तो option वही है कि director ने जो कहा उसको आपने मान लिया, demolish कर दिया. Now what are the hazards in this? अगर वो उसने डायरेक्टर के कहने से उसको तोड़ दिया, उसमें क्या what are the hazards, क्या प्रॉब्लम होंगी इसमें? Okay, patients कहाँ जाएंगे? That is one, definitely. Secondly, reputation of the department will go down because someone in the media may click a photograph and report it saying that this officer himself is demolishing that building, so the reputation of the department will go down. Thirdly, he will be liable to disciplinary action. It is unlawful, you cannot demolish a property. So on all the three counts, and then fourthly, fourth reason, you might have thought about it, from where will he get funds to demolish that building? कहाँ से आएगा funds? Labor hire करना पड़ेगा, कहाँ से आएगा funds? So that also will have to be procured illegally, या किसी को कहा जाएगा कि भी तुम demolish कर दो. So that again will be a second illegality. So therefore, demolishing that building is not the correct option. So then therefore, the second option could be take photographs and videos of the partially damaged building, get articles printed in the local papers, and seek urgent sanction for renovation. So let those things, media report it, that here is a building which requires immediate repair, because if the media reports it, then maybe the government will take notice of it and take photographs and send it to the involve the community in raising funds and donating labor for the renovation work. So I would also add here that the doctor may involve the BDO and the collector, so that Manrega funds may be there and many other funds may be there, community development funds may be there. Yeah, some discretion amount may be there with the collector. So, and some free labor can be asked for. So all these things can be done together to come out with the correct building. Yes.
In such type of questions, how far into the future can we go while answering it? As in, the question asked what are we supposed to do at that particular point in
Yes,
time.
yes.
And if we are going for something like we'll involve the BDO or the developmental officers,
Yes.
that's going a little far into the future.
Yeah. Option can be futuristic also. Why not? That you make out a case, send it to the collector, to the BDPO, to sanction funds out of the community development, Manrega funds, and come out. That is a correct option. The incorrect option is to demolish that building.
So that's what how far into the future can we look for the answer?
No, there is no future. It has fallen down. So next day he finds कि ये तो टूट गया है. So he will write a letter immediately to the BDO, to the collector. Why not? Immediately. He will involve the Gram Sabha member. Yes, ma'am.
So I think for a long-term solution, he can recommend for a better policy making for the renovation, year-by-year renovation policy, something like that.
That also can be done.
So that would be futuristic.
That also can be done. And the point which you mentioned was also that that the PWD can be asked to inspect that building also.
Yes.
And if it has outlived its life, then it can be demolished. Or otherwise, every year some renovation funds can be given, so that every year some kind of maintenance work is done. That also is an option. Absolutely correct. You have to do your brainstorming, putting yourself in the shoes of that person, and come out. There is nothing like that. In ethics, as I said, there is nothing which is right or wrong. It is the context which is important. You can do all variations in your answers, but you should recommend that answer which is you find as most probable, most practical. So here the recommended is option 2, and then if it fails, option 3. So if first of all you will write to the people and local paper, seek urgent sanction for renovation from the department, and if it does not happen, then you can involve the people.
सर अगर ऑप्शन है टू बी लीगल और टू बी एथिकल, ओनली वन, मतलब उस दोनों में से कोई एक ही ऑप्शन लेना है, तो फिर सर किस मतलब टू बी एथिकल और टू बी लीगल बेटर ऑप्शन मतलब क्या होगा दोनों में?
You know, ethics and legal, both the things have to go together. It must be legal, it must be ethical. So legality means you cannot demolish, that is illegality. Okay. Ethical, you want to construct the building, you can always seek the help of the people there. There is nothing unethical about it. You can write a case, set case. What is the thing that why you are having this doubt that
Sir,
between legality and ethicality?
Sir, not regarding this issue, like this case, there may be other cases also, like sir, it's like situational basis. Sometimes we have to legal, sometimes we have to ethical. Sir, like national interest, we have to be like legal. So, sir, regarding that, I was curious.
Yes. So many times what will happen is that the national interest will prevail over the other things. So naturally you will have to have legal. Sometimes the legal will become more important, sometimes ethical will become more important.
Sir,
it will vary from case to
sir,
case.
but if it's about duty, then legality will matter more. Then ethics, मतलब sir, जैसे कि अगर मान लो मेरे को it's about duty, like I have to secure my duty at any cost, or there is an option to be like let go of my duty over being an ethical person.
You see, both, there are three things you have to keep in mind.
Okay.
Is it legal? Is it ethical? Is it beneficial? Three things you have to keep in mind. So the best option is one which is legal, which is ethical, and which is beneficial. Okay? So that is the Gandhiji's talisman. Ki bhai, test on each option. Is it legal? Illegal thing you will not do. Is it ethical? And is it beneficial to the large number of people?
Larger.
Yeah. Okay. Read this. It's a very interesting true case study. Ragini Patel was an officer from Central Services. She celebrated the marriage of her daughter, and at the reception she invited only a handful number of people. And in that function, one businessman, a prominent businessman who was uninvited, he also turned up along with his wife. And now that he had turned up, he could not be thrown away. Naturally, अब वो guest आ गया तो उसको बाहर थोड़ी ना फेंक सकते. He came and blessed the daughter, gave a gift and went away. Next day, she discovered that the gift contained a necklace, a costly gift about lakh of rupees. Now she weighed her options. That businessman was regarded as an ethical businessman who had never come for any work to Ragini Patel in this, and he was regarded as honest. Number two, nobody in the family, outside the family, knew about this gift having been given, and the daughter liked that gift very much. So what should she do?
Demand for a help.
Okay.
Any favor.
Okay.
The second option, maybe she can keep the necklace with her only without saying anything. It will be unethical, but yes, an option to
Correct, correct, absolutely correct. So number one is that she returns the gift, because there is no guarantee that if the businessman has not come for anything so far, he may come in the future also. Number two is that she keeps the gift, which is an unethical option, but it is an option. Okay. And there is some other option.
And reporting to the higher officials that that in the marriage she receives this necklace.
Okay. So that is the third option. She keeps the necklace, but she reports it to the higher authorities. And in that case, our higher authority can always say that you deposit it in the government. Okay. Or give some directions. That also is there. What else? Yes.
Refusing to accept the gift, because generally all gifts comes with some kind of intention, and on top of that, generally businessmen, they tend to develop an excess with the bureaucrats in order to be in their good books. So politely refusing the gift, and maybe she can gift a similar necklace with her own money to her daughter.
Yeah. So the what you are saying is that that she should return the gift to the businessman and take her daughter to the market and get exactly the same thing purchased for her daughter, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that also is an absolutely correct option. So there are four options here. So number one is reporting the matter to the government. Number two is accepting the gift. Number three is rejecting the gift, because you never know what exactly he may be having in plan in future. One more option was that she accepts the gift but pays the value of that gift to the businessman, which has got another hazard, because that businessman may say कि जी 10,000 की gift है जी, कुछ नहीं है जी, इसमें कुछ नहीं है, आप 10,000 दे दीजिए. That itself will be corruption, because 1 lakh rupee की gift के लिए वो 10,000 रुपए. So therefore, tomorrow he may turn up for any favors. So what she did in this case, the real case, was that she returned the gift to the businessman, and she took her daughter to the market and she purchased exactly a similar gift, because her daughter liked that gift very much. So that was what was done, because for keeping that gift with herself would have led to many problems in the future. So therefore this is what she did. So so there was this keep quiet and inform the chief secretary about the gift and hand over to the government, as you said. Call the businessman, return the gift, pointing out the conduct rules. Now the fourth thing was, which I told you, that she should return the gift, but she purchased the gift for her daughter. So Ragini should follow option 3. Call the businessman, return the gift to him, and perhaps in the presence of chief secretary. Otherwise the businessman will be emboldened to come to Ragini for some favors. So she cannot keep that gift, she has to return. But since her daughter liked it very much, she can purchase from her own funds the gift for her daughter. So that was the thing. Okay. So let me come to the strategy.
Sir, so as you have said, while we are solving case studies, we need to be in the shoes of the other person,
yes,
so that you can get a more realistic outlook of that particular situation.
Yes.
So in this context, if I were to ask you, but at the end of the day, we are all students, so how do we develop such mature perspective while we are solving the case studies? I mean, what are your insights in developing our perspective?
So I would say, number one, that questions which are there relating to problem solving, try to pick up as many questions as possible regarding problem solving, decision making, There are umpteen number of exercises which are there. Number 2, I have got at least 500 such case studies with me, and subject to Vision IAS, those case studies, if you are able to solve them, you will have developed that kind of a thinking that you will be able to solve every question. So you will have to do practice, practice and practice. There is no such thing which cannot be achieved, if you do practice. So there is a problem solving and decision making. You will find on Google, there are hundreds of cases where you have to solve the problem. If you do that, you will be able to have that mind which will be very, very, you can, basically it is the pros and the cons, the options. So you have to realize that if you were in that position, what are the situation which may develop, and an average cognitive mind should be able to pick up all the things. One more way which I used to do was, I used to sit in a group of people, and any particular question, let everyone give their own viewpoint, and this is how then you combine, because together everyone achieves more. That is the team. Whenever you sit with other people, don't think that our mind has got all the wisdom in it. There are other viewpoints also which can come. So my suggestion, humble suggestion would be that have a good team of people who sit with you and do some community problem solving. That is one. Secondly, practice as many such questions as possible. As I said, we have a good bank of such case studies. And number 3 is go to Google and try to find out many such examples where there will be problems, which will be there. Let me show you one particular problem. That problem is this. Let me give you one of the very famous case studies is that of rail track experiment. Okay, so can we show it here? Rail track, if it is possible, on the here itself.
So is that similar to the story what you have said about the flight?
No, it's slightly different. Rail track experiment, if you find out, it's like this, that there is a rail track, okay, and on which every second, third minute, the rails pass, the trains pass, okay, and there is a side track, which is a disused track, unused track, on which trains do not pass. There are 5 children who are playing on the main live track, and there is only one child who is playing on the disused track. Now the train is coming. You are standing by a lever. You can change the direction of that rail from the main track to the disused track. On the main track, there are 5 children. On the disused track, there is 1 child. So, will you allow the train to continue on the main track, or will you change it to the disused track? That's a problem.
I'll change it to the disused track.
Okay. Any other option?
I mean, if we were to go by the utilitarian school of thought, that is the right course of action in that particular given situation.
Okay. Now, yes.
उसमें जो लोग ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं उन लोगों के साथ कुछ मिस हैपनिंग हो सकता है.
Okay. So you will say that you will continue with the same track.
Yes.
Now when you analyze this problem, first of all you have to see that that child who was playing on the disused track, if the train was directed on that track, that boy could never even dream that the train would come on that track. So that boy will definitely be killed, because उसने सोचा ही नहीं था कि इधर ट्रेन आ सकती है. And since that is a disused track, the passenger train which may come and you divert it to the disused track, thousands of passengers would be there in that train. Maybe that overturns or derails, and in your anxiety to save 5 children, you will ultimately be ending up with hundreds of people dying because of moving on to the disused track, because probably it was not safe. So on both the counts, you will not change the direction of the train. Rather, those children who are playing on that track, 5 children, they know that track, the trains pass every second, third minute. So if they hear the sirens of the train, then immediately they would run away, because they comes to know, because they know that the trains come on this road. But that boy knows that the train don't come on that road. So he will remain there and he will in the bargain die. So now the analysis of this question was that the solution was you will not change the track, you see. So this is how you will have to practice many questions. I have got at least, as I said, 500 such questions which are there. If you read through them, you will be able to easily solve any such question or case studies in the examination. Okay? Yeah. Right. So let me go through the lastly. Yeah. I will come straight away to the point because the time is short. So what are the ways of approaching the case studies in the ethics paper? There are 2 ways in which you can approach the cases. Number 1, the first or the common ways to learn the best way of analyzing cases from books, from toppers who have appeared at that interview or at that paper, or teachers, and adopt that approach. In this approach, you are not really worried about the facts and the ethics of the case. So you are just learning, copying from the other people. The second way is, perhaps a more effective approach is to fully identify yourself with the protagonist. The protagonist is that person who is in that ethical dilemma. So the decision maker in the case. Then you ask yourself, if I were that individual, deeply ethical too, and if I were facing the same or similar situation, what would I do? So that will brings the entire gamut of the things. You can visualize what exactly could be the different ways you look at that thing, rather than only listening to the books or the teachers or the toppers. So this will open up the thing much better fashion. If you take this approach, there could be different quality in your answer, a kind of authenticity that would stand out. The second approach would come naturally to you if you have studied the subject of ethics, which with a genuine desire to learn how to take decisions in your own life. Okay? So let me, there is no single right answer. The marks you get depend on the subjective evaluation of the examiner. And often there is insufficient information. So both the time available and the number of words are restricted. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay? So some wrongdoing, what are the most common features of the case studies? Some wrongdoing or unethical act has taken place, or is taken place, or is expected to happen. The protagonist is required to set things right by taking action, and some option for the protagonist are listed, and more are like to be suggested by you. So kuch option to case study mein they will be listed, but some options you will need to suggest. So after listing the merits and demerits of each option, you should recommend the best option with justification. Many times there will be right versus wrong option. The protagonist is clearly faced with a right action and a wrong one. Here an example. If an officer is offered a bribe, accepting is obviously wrong, and refusing it is right. So right versus wrong is not difficulty in choosing the right option. Problem comes when there is a right versus right. So the financial officer of a company can present the proper accounts, or he can falsify the accounts. Obviously, the wrong action will also be illegal. And another case, let's see the right, 2 more right options. One example. This happened in 2016 question paper. Just look at it. An officer has to decide whether to extend the benefits of a scheme to old and destitute women. It may be the collector or it can be any other officer. She fully deserves the help. That lady fully deserves the help, but does not have the necessary documents. It can be Aadhaar card, it can be date of birth, it can be voter card, whichever may be the required thing. Officer is faced with an ethical dilemma. He can deny her the benefit by following the rules or extend the benefit on compassionate grounds by using any permitted discretion and finding out a way to overcome that thing. दोनों right है. अगर वो ऑफिसर कहता है भाई तुम्हारे पास आधार कार्ड नहीं है, तुम्हारे पास डेट ऑफ बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है, आई एम सॉरी, यू कैन नॉट गेट दैट बेनिफिट, विच इज राइट. बट देयर कैन बी अनदर ऑप्शन वेयर द ऑफिसर कैन से, ऑल राइट, लेट मी ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट सम ऑप्शन, सम वे ऑफ गेटिंग हर दिस पर्टिकुलर benefit. So what you will do? So both options are right, but you can choose only one of them. You can call this a justice versus mercy dilemma. Okay? So similarly, so therefore there is a case. Now what will you do in this case? Tell me, what would you have done in this case? क्या करेंगे? Say you are the collector. Yes.
For the required documents and then for sir documents के लिए उनको बोलेंगे अप्लाई करो और फिर तब तक वो जो रिसिट्स आएगा उस रिसिट बेसिस पे डाल सकते हैं, या फिर उनके जो वोटर आईडी कार्ड नहीं होंगे बट उन्होंने वोट दिया होगा तो कोई पिक्चर्स कोई कुछ भी होगे तो उस बेसिस पे हम दे सकते हैं.
Okay. So you say that you will wait for her getting the documents and then you will do that.
Sir, this is the modern generation and we can file an applications to recently within a time. So
correct. So that is definitely one option, which is a right option. Another option which I would recommend to you, for example, if she does not have an Aadhaar card or a date of birth card,
yes,
so
sir.
I will ask my chief medical officer, and chief medical officer will assess her age approximately. You know, medical, you can always assess plus minus 5 years the age of a person from the bones density and length of the bones, etc. So they can give approximately, supposing the requirement was 60 years and she is 80 years. So you can assess approximately the age of that person with the help of a report from the chief medical officer. So he will give a report, and then I will ask my revenue officer to go and take statements of the villagers of that area. And they will come out with this, yes, this lady has been residing in this village for the last 20 years. On that basis, these two inquiries, I will pass an order on the file. Yes, I am convinced that she deserves to get this help. So that also is possible. That is the second way, but what you have said is also a very good thing, that she can be asked to wait. And in the meanwhile, you send someone to get her electoral card ready, or but date of birth will still be a problem. If she does not have anything, you have to lean on the shoulder of the chief medical officer to find out the approximate. But what I'm trying to say is, both the methods are, both things are, option are right. Refusing that lady is also right.
Yes, sir.
But your ingenuity depends how you can actually help that person.
Sir, but my responsibility is to help the others people.
Yes, correct, absolutely. Because people come to us because of 3 reasons: भाववश, अभाववश, प्रभाववश. इन्हीं तीनों कारणों से लोग आते हैं. कुछ अभाव है, उस अभाव की पूर्ति है. शी वांटेड ए ओल्ड एज पेंशन, अभाव था, उस अभाव को पूर्ति करना सिविल सर्वेंट का काम है. वो अगर स्ट्रिक्टलर हो जाएगा हर चीज़ के रूल्स के अंदर, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड that the question which was asked was, how do I study? So I said, is it legal? Is it ethical? Is it beneficial? It was legal because you asked for the report from the chief medical officer, you asked for the report from the revenue officer, it was legal. It was ethical because you were helping her, and it was beneficial to that lady. Okay? So this is how you will do that. So this is how, and I will leave at that. How should you begin and proceed with the analysis? So here you are at the ethics examination. You have answered all the theory questions, and now you have come to the case B, part B, that is case studies. For each case, you have just 15 minutes to complete the mental analysis written response. What should you do? Follow the guidelines given below. As you read the case, answer the following questions and make rough notes. तो बीच है लास्ट पेज जो होता है नॉर्मली हम लोग कॉपी का उसको रफ नोट्स के लिए इस्तेमाल करते हैं. सो दैट समटाइम्स बिफोर फेयरिंग आउट द थिंग पीछे रफ नोट्स बना लेने चाहिए. नंबर 1, protagonist. Who is the protagonist? Who has to decide the issue? It can be an officer, it can be a municipal engineer, it can be a politician, it can be a individual, it can be a company executive. So who is the protagonist? The main person in this case, जिसको कहते हैं नायक. कौन नायक है इसके अंदर? Who is required to take the decision and act? Number 2, facts. So facts of the case is a brief summary. Last time मैंने बताया था ना brief summary, but you can also write the protagonist. कौन है protagonist? Who has to take action? Number 2, the brief summary. Number 3, stakeholders. Who are the people and or which are the institution whose interests could be positively or negatively affected by the decisions taken by the protagonist. 4, core ethical issues. So which are the core ethical issues? What are the core ethical issues faced by the protagonist? We have seen many cases in which we found out the ethical issues which were there. Transparency, accountability, loyalty, and so on. Required action. This is another item which I have added. What has the protagonist been asked to do or wants to do? This also you can add. May or may not. अगर नहीं भी add करते कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. So I have added 2 things, protagonist and what the protagonist has been asked to do, which you can write. In case you don't write, even then it is fine. But the most important is summary of the case, stakeholders in the case, ethical issues in the case, options which are available, merits and demerits, which option would you like to recommend, and the long-term recommendation. So options, their merits and demerits. I told you that it should be in the form of a table, option, merits, demerits. So what are the options? Are you asked to think of any more options? As you know that some of the cases the option were given and they said, are there any other more option which you are asked to add on to that? And what are the merits and demerits of each option? Then recommended option with justification. What would be your recommended option? And what is the justification? So you will have to write why this option is recommended. It can be on account of transparency or accountability or meeting your duty, the justice, can be many reasons. What are the ethical principles that underlie the recommended option? If they can be articulated, for example, transparency or accountability or secrecy or loyalty. So if there are ethical values which can be articulated, must write that thing also. And then long-term measures. Now these are, does the case call for long-term measures that can be taken to prevent the recurrence of the situation? This may not be applicable in all cases. Now say for example in this case where the lady was to be given the pension. So long term you can recommend that if one does not have any proof of residence, you can ask for statements from the people. You can ask for chief medical officer, so that for long term this is inbuilt in the scheme so that people are not left out. Because some people may be very, very good civil servants, they would go out of the way. Some people may not go out of the way. Just like what happens is that many times the driving license, in urban areas, driving license is taken as the proof. Sometimes your electricity bill is taken as the proof. So there can be different ways, alternatives. So you can suggest that long term mein, these are the things which we can recommend so that such a thing does not happen in future. So this is not a list of steps to be followed. These are just merely guidelines. Okay. So rearrange your rough notes in the proper order. Begin with a short introduction of 1 or 2 sentences and make it interesting enough to attract the attention of the examiner. A creative introduction can set your answer apart from other aspirants. So it should be interesting introduction. So use bullet points for the rest of the case discussion. Bullet points save words, also make it easy for the examiner to follow your line of reasoning. So bullet points, point wise. When you come to option, begin with the least viable. जो बिल्कुल least viable हो. For example, accepting the bribe, it's the least viable. You will begin that and end with the recommended one. So this is how you will make the table: options, merits, demerits. So the use of such table saves repeating words such as merit and demerit. हर बार repeat करना पड़ेगा. These are the merit, these are the demerit. If you make a column, then you don't have to repeat it again and again. The column will say these are the merits, these are the demerits. And however, if you wish to show some variety, you can use the table only for some of the question. You can use for some question. Say there are 4 or 5 case studies. You need not have table for every case study. You can do some variety also. In any case, some of the case studies may not be the case studies of ethical dilemmas. They will be to test whether you can think, how will you go about taking different steps. Say for example, controlling the pandemic, or the controlling the women's programs, ensuring women program, or child development programs, or anything connected with vector-borne diseases. So floods. So there are 2 types, as I told you, the case studies will be there. One will be having options, the other will not be having option. They will only be asked to step by step work out what steps you will take in order to achieve your goal. So where necessary, give the possible impact of each option on each stakeholder. Now yesterday this question was asked that remarks column, अगर 4th column हम remarks लिखना है तो हम रख सकते हैं, you know. So option, merit, demerit. So in the remarks column you can write this option, what effect has it got on the different stakeholder. So you can write in remarks column also. See what I am trying to say? This is it. So you can have another column here, the remarks. So you can write कि this option has got this effect on this stakeholder, this effect on this stakeholder. Different people will be affected differently. Okay. And when appropriate, where appropriate, suggest long-term measure to avoid recurrence. Make sure you have answered the specific questions asked. That is very essential. Question को बार-बार read करिए कि क्या पूछा गया है. That answer you have to give. Okay. So this is how you will end up with your case studies. If there are any questions, I'll be too happy to answer. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so sometimes we use a tagline or a quote. Quote relating to that, Mahatma Gandhi's quote or some environmentalist quote which is related to that. Okay, so you can make that introduction much more interesting by introducing that quote which is given by any prominent person, or Raja Ram Mohan Rai, or emotional intelligence. You can write 20% of your success depends on your academic intelligence and 80% depends on that. Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, Swami Vivekananda. So you can write some beautiful tagline, and that will be interesting and impressive. Yes, yes. In introduction, when you have to, then you will start up with the case. That you can write in the short summary of the case also. You can write the short summary, and then you can say that this particular quote, you can mention
first the summary and
yes,
then the quote.
Then you can write the quote. You can even say that you can write a word something introduction also something, and there you can write that particular quote. Wherever you think it will be more appropriate, either in introduction or in short summary. My view would be that it should be in the short summary of the case.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any doubts? Yes.
Yeah.
So in the first case study, the dormant account was there. So if that account is dormant, no one has used that funds.
Yes.
So it will automatically go under state or bank, no. So we can use that for ladies treatment or father's treatment.
Yes, provided there is a policy for that. If it is a dormant account, you cannot use it unless and until there is a specific policy. If there is no policy, how can you touch upon the funds which are available in dormant account? They are personal, confidential to you. You cannot use that, isn't it? But if there is a policy, that is what was recommended, that you can come out with a policy to use those dormant account for the benefit of certain people. You can use that as a policy.
If there is a policy.
If there is a policy, yes, correct.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think there was a gentleman at the back.
Sir, police encounter is ethical or unethical?
It's totally unethical. There is no doubt about it.
And bulldozing house.
What about houses?
Houses, bulldozing.
Demolition of the houses?
Yeah, bulldozing. Bulldozing.
So when a question is asked, for example, bringing people to justice by police encounters, you will say that anything which is against the rule of law is totally illegal. It is illegal and unethical. The judiciary is there to award the judgment after the evidence, and therefore police resorting to killings of the criminals may give an impression that it is for the good of the humanity. But if they are given this kind of power, tomorrow they may, it may be totally unethical. They may start misusing it. So the duty has been assigned to different people. Police person, yes, if it is in self-defense, then they can fire upon the person. But you cannot kill a person, through police encounter. So you will never accept police encounter as an ethical means. You will always be on the right side of law.
Sir, doubt in integrity and honesty, what a difference?
So integrity actually is keeping all the values, that includes honesty,
yes, sir.
Sustaining those values even when there is no one to supervise you. So it can be honesty, it can be integrity, it can be accountability, it can be transparency, it can be compassion, that you should maintain equanimity at all times, even if there is no one supervising you. Honesty is one of the values. Integrity means in different points of time, you will not waver. For example, if there is a red light, you will stop at that red light. If there is traffic, if there is no traffic, you will jump that red light. That is called as lack of integrity. So integrity encompasses all other values, including honesty. Okay?
Yes.
Integrity is derived from the word integer. So it is whole number. So these things,
Integration.
you should be consistent whole. And what was the second thing which you asked?
Honesty and integrity, sir.
No, there was another thing which you asked.
Sir, rule of law.
Bulldozer.
Bulldoze the house.
Yeah. So illegal encroachments cannot be sustained. If there is anyone who is encroaching upon government property, he has to be evicted from that property, but with the due process of law, by giving notice.
Sir, like one example, in a case of 2611, Kasab case, when Kasab treatment is going on by doctors, then they not get up the clearance. वो clearance नहीं दे रहे थे doctors for उसको inquiry करने के लिए जॉइंट कमिश्नर जो थे. तो उस टाइम पे सर मतलब किसी डॉक्टर का जो प्रोफेशन है उसके बीच में एथिकल वैल्यू जा रही हैं, मतलब कि वो टेररिस्ट था, बस उसको जो है हमको ट्रीट करना था, बट उस पर अपना होता है नेशन सुप्रीम, राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि, मतलब पहले नेशन जो होता है, तो उसमें क्या करना चाहिए सर? मतलब
Yeah, so the both the things are in their own way.
Yeah.
Doctor's duty is to save the person, whether he's a criminal or otherwise.
Yeah.
Once he becomes absolutely fine, he has to face the charges which are there, and that is the job of the judiciary. Judiciary ultimately convicted him, and he was hanged. So therefore, both, there is no contradiction. Everyone has to perform one's own duty. But if supposing the doctor, like I was giving you an example of an AIDS patient, where the doctor gives poison, mixes it in the blood, because he is going to infect other people, it is totally wrong. It is illegal. So the same way, the doctor has the duty is to save that patient, whether he is a criminal or not criminal. And then it is the judiciary who has to do that.
Sir, one last question I want to ask about capital punishment, sir.
Yes.
sir, is ethical or not?
So capital punishment is an issue of applied ethics, and there are many people in favor, many people against it. Many countries have already abolished capital punishment. In India, it has not been abolished. It is very much there, but it is done in rarest of the rare cases. Maybe over a period of time, it is very difficult. It's a very gray area. That, as such, the Supreme Court has ruled that it should be done only in the rarest of the rare cases. But they feel that in some cases of very heinous crimes, it is necessary to impart capital punishment. So in a way, it cuts both ways. It is ethical as well as unethical, depending upon the situation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We should practice the case studies for improving on case studies. So from where we can get the access to those case studies which you have recommended?
So there is a beautiful book by the name of R. Rajgopalan. It's an excellent book, though there are many other books. I definitely recommend this book because it is a book on case studies, and hundreds of case studies are there, very aptly written with logical explanation. R. Rajgopalan. He has written two books. The one is a thicker book, which is on the entire ethics paper, but the second book is exclusively on case studies. That's a very good book.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Now the main question, by show of hand, how many of you now have clarity in how to tackle questions on case studies? Okay. Those who have not picked up your hands, it's like you have not clearly listened to what sir has suggested. Okay. I, Sonal, on behalf of Team Vision IAS, forward our gratitude to you, sir, for conducting an interactive session which will help our aspirants to tackle questions on case studies in ethics paper. We thank you, sir, for sharing your such enriching real-life examples from a vast pool of experiences that you have as a civil servant. Thank you for all your valuable time, sir. We thank you all. Yes.
Thank you.
We thank you all for joining the session and actively participating in asking your doubts as well as answering questions asked by sir. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, Sonal, and thank you, every one of you.
Welcome,
I'm sure there is no doubt about it that all of you, with that kind of interest, enthusiasm, responsiveness, and participativeness, which you have shown here, I'm really delighted to see that, and I'm sure you will do extremely well, and my best wishes for your success in your civil services.